Live.
This is Free Talk Live. It is the live Sunday edition of the program. With you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
And me, Mark.
And, of course, you can join us. We'll give you our toll-free numbers and our Skype username here in just a few moments to allow you to take control of the airwaves. Coming up tonight, if we get the chance, looks like some great news coming out of Alaska, where regulators have now approved the idea of marijuana bars, which will make Alaska the very first state. If this thing goes through, it's just the regulators, I think at this point, it may need to be passed by the governor. I don't have all the details on exactly the legal status, but it's looking good for marijuana bars, sort of like you might see over in Amsterdam, for instance.
I think they have them in Canada, too, don't they? Something similar?
There are things that are tolerated in Canada, but they're not legal in Canada, at least not at the last time I was there, and I know that things have gotten a little worse since the last time I was in Canada.
Well, if they're there...
Yeah, but they're not legal. They're not like expressly allowed. They're just sort of like the police could go raid them anytime they wanted, whereas this would make it legal to have a marijuana bar. So we can talk more about that. But last night, Mark, you and I were talking about the refugees, and that occupied the majority of the show. We never really got to a piece that you had brought up, which was about what the Bible says about how to treat refugees. And I have it here from relevantmagazine.com. Now, I was raised a Christian, raised a Presbyterian, and I ended up not choosing that particular road. I became an atheist for a while and then ultimately became a panentheist and am now a minister of the Shire Free Church. So that's kind of my religious history in very brief there. So I can relate to some extent with Christians. I mean, having known the doctrine to some extent or another, not to the extent that you know it, Mark. You actually have read the Bible cover to cover at least a couple of times.
3 times.
3 times. I can't make any claim like that. I have read the Quran cover to cover.
There are still people that know it better than I can assure you. I mean, there are people that can quote it. They can quote the heck out of it.
And you don't need to know the entire Bible to know some of the real important basics about like what Jesus was trying to teach to people. Like Jesus was called the Prince of Peace. You know, he was somebody who was about forgiving people, loving his enemy, for instance. These are all basics that if you go to church enough times in the Christian church, you should hear this message. Now, you know, maybe church is different now than it was when I was going regularly to a Christian church as a child, but I highly doubt that the general message about Jesus and his teachings has really changed. And, of course, being a Christian means that you are trying to be as Christ-like as possible, understanding that you're imperfect human and you're, going to fail at certain things and sin and all that stuff.
Sure.
But trying to emulate as much as possible.
Well, I think
Jesus.
most Christians, most people that would identify as Christians are, and I think most people that self-identify as Christians would agree that most Christians aren't very Christian-like and aren't even trying to be very Christian. Like they don't have it down. Now, obviously, they're not including themselves in that particular generalization, but the Bible's pretty clear on that, right? Like there's a low road and it's wide and well-worn. The high road, the path is the path to heaven is it's narrow and difficult to navigate. And I think what we find many times with Christians in the United States, those are the ones I'm going to be most familiar with, and I'm not trying to indict anybody here. I'm just saying that they tend to believe in a culture generally, and that if you sort of shake up that culture, whatever that is, then
it's a war on Christians.
Well, I mean, I can tell you that at my church, they... You
mean when you were a kid?
When I was a kid,
okay.
In youth group, the United Methodist Church, they had FUM. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. Anyway, the youth group is when people who were the disreputable kids were at youth group, the parents would get all upset. Right? Like, what are the bad kids doing coming to youth group?
Isn't that kind of the point, is to welcome people?
That's the point, right? Like, that's the reason the church is there for sinners. But that's not what it's about. It's not about that at all. It's like, hey, we got a club, and you're messing with the club.
You have to meet all the requirements.
You're supposed to meet the requirements. We have
You need to be perfect before you come to church.
There are churches on the wrong side of the tracks for you. As a matter of fact, we don't care which church you go to as long as it isn't this one. That's what it's about, right?
It's true.
It's really the truth, right? Those people are not Christians. If the Christian religion is true, like from start to finish, those people are completely unlike Jesus, and therefore will not enter this place where Jesus is.
That'll be a surprise.
That's the best I can come up with here. But the finger shaking, those people.
Do you ever hear the Onion?
Respectable sorts.
So for our listeners who aren't listening online, if you listen to our online streams, the live streams, you'll hear Onion radio news segments. Did you ever hear the one, Mark, that it's something to the effect of all 7 deadly sins committed at a church bake sale?
It
is so funny. Just talking about how people are talking about one another behind their backs and gluttony and all these other things. Very funny stuff.
I'm all for gluttony at a church bake sale.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to get your best stuff. When it comes to bake sales, that's when you buy. You don't get that stuff at the stores. Who wants a cupcake from the store?
But it really speaks to a lot of the hypocrisy that you see in some of these folks. So let's jump into this, shall we?
I will say those hypocrite ladies at the church are the best cooks around. Yeah, they're the best cooks.
You can't win them all. So 12 passages from the Bible that discuss how Christians should treat immigrants, refugees, and those in need of help. Here's passage 1. Love refugees as yourself. Quote, when a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt.
Now, when a foreigner is living in your land, they are refugees in that sense. Now, you can say that, hey, we have new ways of keeping foreigners from moving to the land, so therefore we're exempt from this. That's not what this is about. You see, Israel didn't have a really good border patrol at any given time, so people would, migrate in, migrate out, and this is how it went all over the place. You get enough. If you got a large enough concentration of people to a particular area, you'd see changes in culture and stuff like that. And obviously, cultural conservatives are not going to like those kind of things. People actually, when the Ostrogoths were moving through Europe, people got up and left, their regions just to get away from the Ostrogoths. So it happens.
And when they say foreigner here, obviously interpretations of biblical passages, translations from Hebrew could differ. But when they're saying foreigner here, it doesn't necessarily mean someone from another land. It could mean someone who's foreign to you, right? Like someone who is not necessarily all of what you are, right? They don't follow your exact beliefs. A Muslim, for instance, could be considered foreign to someone who is a Christian.
Right. I think that this is human groupings aren't new in the last century. Humans have been very much about their groups for a very long time. It's one of the reasons that Jews have the whole circumcision thing, just to be able to identify themselves from other people. That's what it's all about. So yes, this is advice to those people to be kind to people who aren't exactly like them.
And this isn't.
And the Quran has the same sorts of advice.
Yes, and because they're very, very similar books. I mean, most people who criticize Islam have no idea what the Quran actually says. They're taking the word of people sending emails around, forwarding emails, and talking on talking head shows on television.
Taking a couple of verses and then saying that's the deal.
Yeah, taking out of context and all that. So, and this isn't a shocking passage, right? Like, I've never read this passage myself, but it's not shocking to hear the Bible say, hey, love this person who's not you, this person who may not have the same beliefs as you, they may not be from the same place as you. Love that person as yourself. Now, maybe part of the problem is these Christians, these so-called Christians who, Mark, you have said are not in point of fact Christians by virtue of the way they behave towards others, because they're not behaving in a Christ-like manner. But
there's
maybe
only
they
two
just
commandments. Love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the only two commandments.
Right. Maybe they just aren't good at loving themselves, first and foremost, right? Like if you're loving your neighbor as yourself and you actually hate yourself and you're not happy with yourself and you're constantly criticizing yourself, then I guess you are sort of treating your neighbors as you would treat yourself. You are not, you don't have it together. right? And you really don't have much to offer the rest of the world if you can't love yourself and take care of yourself first. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733.
Are you thinking about your Medicare benefits right now? You know, Original Medicare may not cover all of your needs, and the deadline to choose your plan is rapidly approaching. Plus, whatever Medicare plan you choose is locked in for a full year. So the wrong choice could cost you thousands of dollars in out-of-pocket costs. At Health Markets, we can help you find a plan to minimize those costs with one free phone call. You could spend hours doing all the research yourself, or our licensed agents can do it for you for free. Call Health Markets now for free help.
800-978-4818. 800-978-4818. 800-978-4818. Again, that's 800-978-4818. Health Market Insurance Agency is a DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, licensed in all 50 states and D.C. Service and product availability varies by state. Agents may be compensated based on your enrollment.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
This is a national health care alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. So if you're on Medicare and have knee pain, don't wait. You may qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost. Friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. We also have other pain-relieving braces too for your shoulder, ankle, or back. You may be eligible to get these items and more at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Our friendly representatives are standing by now to help you, so please call now. 800-301-2963. 800-301-2963. 800-301-2963. 800-301-2963.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
CopBlock has quickly become the top police accountability group in the United States, and maybe even the world. With chapters across the globe, there's probably a group near you that you can join. If not, you can start your own. Besides joining a local CopBlock group, you can also give just $1 a month to the CopBlock network. Your contribution helps support the efforts of those who make CopBlock possible. So please join the CopBlock network now at copblock.lrn.fm. That's copblock.lrn.fm.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Do you hate Muslims? Are you scared of them? Well, guess what? The Bible has a few things to say about that. And by the way, neither Mark or myself are active Christians. We are both ministers in the Shire Free Church, but it is an interfaith ministry. That means that people of different religious beliefs come together under one roof.
Yeah, I've got no particular love for Islam either. I like learning about things that I'm not familiar with.
There are some things I like about Christianity. There are some things I like about Islam. There are some things that I like about Buddhism and, a variety of other things. Religions out there. So I'm sort of a pick and grab. I don't know what you call that, but I like
somebody
going
to hell. That's what I call it.
I like what I like. and I like a lot of what the Bible says about loving your neighbor. Loving specifically not just your neighbor, but in this case, it says you should be loving foreigners as yourself. And that is from Leviticus. We'll continue here with a list of 12 things that describe from the Bible how Christians should be treating not just refugees, but also immigrants and those who are in need of help. Speaking of help, sometimes you got to help yourself when it comes to taking care of your family.
Well, that's helping yourself and helping other people at the same time. That's what Liberty Health Share is. Liberty Health Share is a health sharing organization, and people who have, similar ideas about how to take care of themselves and their families get together, and they share the expenses of everybody in the group. And that's essentially what insurance companies do. They take the whole a whole group of people and hope that a certain amount of them don't get sick or whatever, and that's how it's done. But they got big buildings, they have investments, they've got lots of people that work for them. Liberty Health Share is much more lean operation, much more efficient, and it allows you to pick your doctor, pick your hospital, and to live out your values. Because Obamacare requires you have this, health care. If you're paying health care insurance or health care, coverage, if you're paying for your own right now, I recommend you go to joinlhs.com. Because when we found that the costs there are a little more than half what we normally pay. So, or what we were going to pay under insurance. JoinLHS.com. And I've got a telephone number here in case you don't have a computer handy to go to JoinLHS.com. 800-722-8041. 800-722-8041. JoinLHS.com.
So the first passage here is about foreigners residing among you in your land, saying don't mistreat them. The foreigner must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself. Is what the first passage here is saying. And I think that, as I was saying a few moments ago, I think a lot of people are really terrible at loving themselves. I think that they have been taught that it's a bad thing to love themselves. And so maybe they are treating others as they treat themselves, and that is poorly and with disrespect and with anger and frustration and fear. So, maybe that's what's manifesting is they're not good at loving others because they haven't figured it out for themselves first. And that's just my speculation.
I think that people, people fear the other. It's very common for people to fear, the folks from over there, wherever there is. It's what humans have been doing all along. Remember, we're beasts primates that are evolved to, we're diurnal. We do better in the day than at night. So, you huddle around the fire and hope that nothing comes in and eats you. Mm-hmm. So those things out there are bad, and us here, we're good. And that's, it's just very much human nature, to look at things this way. So I can see why people are concerned about the refugees from Syria, but I would point out to people that, hey, if you supported the United States intervention in Iraq, then you need to understand that those refugees were created indirectly by the U.S.'s intervention. The U.S.'s intervention destabilized the Sunni government, putting the Shias in power. The Shias, several decades worth of being beaten up by the Sunnis, they want to dish a little back out. The Sunnis, then they don't feel so hot about that. So, you get this Salafist reaction, which is known as the Islamic State. And the Sunnis aren't quite ready to, it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't. They're not happy about it, but their choices kind of stink. Everybody hates them right now in that region. So what are they supposed to do? And, well, that's what... that's where all this conflict comes from, and that's why these refugees are running.
Now, as you pointed out, there are a lot of similarities between the Bible and the Quran, and there are also similarities in the failings of the followers of both of those religions. So I want to make it clear, I'm not just indicting Christians here. Obviously, you mentioned the Sunnis and the Shia and other various different factions of the Islamic religions, a lot of them don't love one another either. So like they're not getting that message either.
And some of them are complete violent nuts.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, that's not what the average person's about. You don't want to indict every Christian for the most insanely violent Christians out there. And you wouldn't want to indict every Muslim for that either. And I don't think most people aren't going to claim that. Some will. Some believe that the Islamic religion itself is sort of corrupt and dangerous and violent. I don't know the answers. I haven't spent a lot of time reading this, but I can tell you that the people that I respect that have read the Quran, they say, nope, not going on, including you, Ian. You've read the Quran, which I imagine bumps you up on the terrorist watch list another notch. The fact that I just don't have time for it. I'm not interested in your ancient texts.
I had time. I was in jail at the time for civil disobedience, so I had plenty of time. And more on the idea of loving others as though they are yourself. As a pantheist, I believe that everybody
Why don't you define that?
Is connected.
You're going to keep on tossing that.
Thank you. I was about to do that.
Okay,
as a pantheist, I believe that everything and everyone is essentially connected as part of this sort of universal consciousness, if you will, and that you really are that other person. Like, that is another iteration of you. And if indeed, as a Christian, you believe that God created man in his own image, you're talking about hating what God created. You're talking about hating something that is, in my opinion, part of God, but in some Christian religions, at least the creation of God. And they're just like you. They have feelings. They have families. They're not different from you. They may look a little bit different, but ultimately, there's still that same basic humanness of those people. And so that's the idea, is people should treat one another with respect. I mean, this is just basic how to get along with people. Didn't people learn this on the playground? Didn't we get that back then? If you want to share your thoughts, our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have Skype, by the way. Skype username is lrn.fm. Another passage here from this list of relevantmagazine.com, list of 12 things the Bible says about how to treat refugees and immigrants. Leave food for the poor and the foreigner, they say. Quote, when you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap to the very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Do not go over your vineyard a second time or pick up the grapes that have fallen. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. Now, it's a little bit different than coming out and collecting charity, as liberty activists here in New Hampshire did today, part of Shire Sharing. And liberty activists here in New Hampshire fed over 600 families, delivered meals, Thanksgiving meals, for over 600 families across the state. Obviously, that's more than just leaving the scraps. That's actually making an effort. And I think that people should make an effort to help others as well. But the Bible, at the very least, saying, hey, let people fend for themselves to some extent.
Most
pick up after you.
Most people in America don't live within walking distance of a farm where they could go and pick wheat or grapes off of the out of the ground, or the leftovers and that sort of thing.
It's
so you
Free
have
Talk
to deliver
Live.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season. So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement, and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live Sunday edition of the program. Of course, we'll take your calls about whatever happens to be on your mind. We're going through a list of 12 passages from the Bible, and this isn't a religious, preaching show necessarily. That like we don't get on the air usually and read Bible passages because, well, neither of us are Christians, even though we are ministers, Mark, in the Shire Free Church. And I normally get a little upset when people call and drone on with Bible verses, but I think these are particularly relevant to this discussion about the refugees.
I don't know how what the average American thinks, but I can tell you that people call this show, and they sound very much like yay Christianity, boo Islam.
Yeah, we hear that a lot.
And if you're saying yay Christianity, boo Islam, then you have a sort of a very difficult situation to sort of meet out with yourself when you've got Islamic refugees on the way over here, especially when it's your government, and by your government I mean the government that you support. If you support the United States government's actions over in the Middle East, the United States government went and destabilized this region and caused indirectly these refugees. So you got to kind of work that out for yourself, and that's what I'm trying to help people do.
Right.
If you want to be a consistent Christian, stop calling yourself a Christian if you're not going to try.
Yeah.
You got to try.
Right. Even if you're not there yet, mentally.
Nobody's going to be there yet, but that doesn't mean that you're allowed to continue doing the thing. You got to make an effort.
Right.
It's forward motion.
You've got to know what the goal is so you can move toward that goal and correct yourself when you're getting it wrong.
You have to consider it a goal too.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you If it's not your goal,
the goal of loving your neighbor, and loving the foreigners.
The goal of loving your neighbor, and in this case, foreigners and refugees, isn't your goal, then you need to consider that Christianity is not your goal.
That's correct. I don't know what your goal is, but yeah, it's not very Christian.
You can play whatever game you want, but you're not playing Christianity.
So let me tell you about Brave New Books. This is a great website. It's also a real-life store in Austin, Texas. But you, if you're not in Austin, go to bravenewbookstore.com. It's owned and operated by our friends John Bush and Catherine Bleish. They took over the operations there earlier this year, and they've got an amazing selection of products, including books about all kinds of interesting things: libertarianism, anarchism, economics, conspiracy, natural health, survival, and more. Plus, they've got amazing health products like Tangy Tangerine and Super Male Vitality. You can even get amazing water filtration products, including countertop systems, pitchers, and on-the-go sport bottles. It's great stuff over at bravenewbookstore.com. They're helping spread the ideas of liberty and truth, and you can, of course, pay with Bitcoin if you like. In fact, they prefer when you pay with Bitcoin at bravenewbookstore.com. We've been there in person. It's a really cool little shop, but you can go online anytime.
Seems to be the center for sort of libertarian folks, especially in Austin, but a lot of people are visiting the new website.
bravenewbookstore.com. As we go to Jason, listening in Ohio. Jason, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. I just wanted to weigh in on that. You were quoting one scripture about the foreigners, and I'd like to shed some light on that. There are scriptures in the Bible that also refer to, and it's just using a different word, but it's the same term, stranger. Mm-hmm. And a stranger or foreigner was a person who wholeheartedly embraced Judaism. And they were supposed to be treated equally to someone who was a native-born Jew.
How do we know that?
And so, because if you study the scriptures, you'll see that. A stranger. The Bible talks about the stranger. Do not mistreat the stranger, or what rights the stranger had within Israel.
Yeah, I believe in the Quran they're called the people of the book, which they're referring to Christians and Jews with that.
Well, I'm talking about what the Bible says, based on the King James
But
Version.
I'm trying to figure out.
I'm agreeing with you. It's similar.
Well, but hold on. I'm trying to figure out this term. The term stranger is, having read the Bible myself, I don't know where this part is where we're talking about this stranger in your land being somebody who embraces the ideas of Judaism.
Go to Leviticus, read Deuteronomy. When Moses came out of Egypt,
point me to it.
with the Israelis, with the Jews, there was a mixed group of people that came with them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As a matter of fact, you'll see where Moses married an Ethiopian woman. So there's Ethiopians that came with them, Egyptians, and there were laws that were given by Moses, the Levitical law, that was said that the stranger, what rights they had within Israel. They were not native blood, but they had embraced Judaism. They were called proselytes. So the fact is, when we bring a person into our country, they should wholeheartedly embrace what our nation is all about. And people are not trying to say to abandon the Syrians. What they're saying is that we need to use some discretion here.
I think that Chris Christie said something like, we can't trust 5-year-old Syrians.
Well, I can't. I'm not quoting Christie. I'm quoting me.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I don't really care what Christie said.
Right.
I'm telling you.
So this is your plan. Excellent. Tell me your plan.
What I know, and I know what Christian people within their hearts and what the Bible says. We're talking about using discretion here, because I give this example. I enjoy fresh air. I like to open up my window and I enjoy fresh air, but I do have a screen there, and that screen is there to keep out anything that would invade my home, that would cause my home to be inhabitable.
Makes sense to
me.
me.
We're not talking about abandoning the Syrian people, because there are people there who wholeheartedly want to get here for the right reason.
Mm-hmm.
But they're being taken advantage of by those who would destabilize this nation for us and even them when they get here.
Well, you can love somebody without letting them sleep with you in the same bed, right? So I can understand you don't want to let people into your house for reasons of concern. That's fine. And it doesn't sound like you're saying kick everybody out. You're not saying that.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying the fact is that we got to use some discretion here, because we can create a haven there and a process to bring people here. But the fact is, as I said before, we want people here that understand what the United States is all about and embrace it. We don't want these terrorists to use this as an advantage, like, well, we see what's going on in Europe. Because the stats that I heard was 72 to 75% of the people that were coming in as refugees over to Europe were men.
wrong.
25% were children and women, and they emanated from 6 different nations. And as far as Syria is concerned, 40% of the Christians in Syria are either dead or dispersed.
Mark, did you say one of those stats was incorrect?
Yeah, well, this is from the United Nations Refugee Organization, says that this figure, including this includes the 2.1 million Syrians registered by the UNHCR in Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, 1.9 million Syrians registered by the government of Turkey, as well as more than 2,600 Syrian refugees registered in North Africa. The breakdown is males 49%, females 50%. Basically, it's very close. And then 40% of them are all under the age of 11.
Jason, thanks for your call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And coming up, Mark, in addition to some Bible quotes, I also have some relevant Quran quotes as well.
There's a picture that's a meme on Facebook, right? And it's all men, and it's saying 98% of Syrian refugees are male. And then some large percentage of them are basically fighting age males. Well, I mean, is it possible that when somebody took this picture that the men and women were segregated in whatever reason, in whatever organization, whatever they were doing in whatever camp, that these people that were getting ready to move from one location to another, the men were separated from the women? Especially,
it's also possible they may segregate themselves on their own anyway.
Muslim people. Because, this is the way they lie with cameras. It can be done, right?
Sure.
Like, when you saw that lady in, I can't remember where it was. Was she in Greece or whatever, tripping and kicking the refugees they ran by? They weren't all men. They were 98% men. This is one picture, and then this whole thing about it's 98% men springs up. I'd like to hear more about this because I don't understand. Yeah, I'm with you. If it's 98% men, that's really, really fishy. But
it's
I
not
can't.
that.
Yeah, it just digging a little bit makes it just seem like that's a bunch of bigoted bullcrap.
I bet you it originated from some forwarded email.
And I believe nonsense that I've read on the internet too. I'm not saying you're dumb for believing nonsense. I'm just saying the internet's full of nonsense.
Our toll-free number, if you want to join us here, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. It's Free Talk Live.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing health care for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS?
Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't pick on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS.
If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. When I found the Free State Project, I knew it was the key to achieving liberty in my lifetime. It's awesome to be surrounded by like-minded, freedom-loving activists who've moved here to New Hampshire. From politics to civil disobedience, we have it all. Where I came from, it felt that no matter what I did, liberty was dying. Perhaps you feel the same way? Call 888-377-2515 now to learn more about the Free State Project. That's 888-377-2515 or visit freestateproject.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. It's the live Sunday edition of the program. You can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. As we kick off another week of fun here on the live Sunday edition. Of course, it's going to be Thanksgiving week, and that means we're going to be here because that's what we do. We're live every single day. As long as we can bribe a board operator to come in at the network studios, and usually we're successful at doing that, I don't think we've ever taken a Thanksgiving off. I think we've always been live on Thanksgiving, and so if you're looking for something to do on Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving Eve or the day after, we're going to be here. And you can join us, so don't miss out. And if we're not on your local talk radio station 7 nights a week, you should call them and thank your program director for airing some Free Talk Live, if they're airing some of us. If they're airing no Free Talk Live, then you should ask nicely for some. And if you're getting some, you should ask nicely for more. Because program directors don't really get nice calls very often. They hear from people when they have a problem, for the most part. I don't like what so-and-so said about such and such. Well,
they hear that a lot.
Yeah. Maybe if you call and say, hey, I really like that you made this programming choice to add Free Talk Live. Could we have some more of it, please? That could make a big difference. So anyway, if you want to join us here, toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We'll be with you throughout the holidays, as we always are. Coming up, quotes from the Quran as well. So we started with some Bible quotes. Still have more of those on how to treat refugees. But I went and I looked, because we made the claim that, or you, I think, made the claim, Mark, that the Quran also has very sort of love your neighbor as yourself quotations in it. And so I pulled up some of those. So people who aren't familiar with the Quran, which probably is the supermajority of people listening to our voices tonight, could have some experience with that.
Right.
But
and
first,
this, by the way, is not some kind of Islamic outreach. This is just looking at two religions, of which I am not part of either.
I'm not either, but I respect a lot of both.
Right. And for me, what this is about is that I'm concerned for the life and well-being of people in the Middle East and around the world. I believe all life is valuable and all life is sacred. So let's talk about that.
So let's talk about it with James in Florida. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, James.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's on your mind?
I agree with y'all. Our foreign policy has caused this massive migration, but the migration has been going on from Libya to Syria, from Syria to there, and what happens is we come in and take out these dictators or help start civil wars like we did with the so-called freedom fighters.
I never did
Syria.
that.
Well, not, but, our
I mean
government.
the government. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and But to me, what is frustrating to me is if you look at what happened in France, right now you got cops with black masks on every corner searching everybody. They suspended the Constitution in that country. And I feel like that's why. And at the same time, he still said, like Thursday or Friday, he wants to bring in 4,000 more. But you're bombing Syria. So it doesn't make sense that that we're just going along, because even here,
because that's what's going to happen here, right? I mean, I think you make a great point that you want a police state, then that's what you're going to get. Is that what people in America want? Is with all this enforcement and all this fear, they want police on every corner with machine guns?
They do. Because we got senators right now from Illinois saying we need gun control because of what happened in France.
Yep.
Now that is just crazy, because they have the strictest gun laws in the world, one of them. So why would we? They're already using it. They're using it to push more NSA, even though NSA says it's better for us to target people versus collecting everyone's data because it clogs up the system. I mean, and you got people running, pushing it, and scaring the hell out of everybody, and they're the ones letting them in here. There's 40,000 of them in Florida, and the problem is, they're scaring everybody, and they're bringing in a police state, and at the same time, they can suspend the Constitution, take our liberties. Got to say this real quick. Right now in Germany, they're telling women not to wear short skirts because it offends the Muslims. So they're already losing their liberties and everything. So I feel like that's a way for them to bring in more political correctness, more us losing our liberties. At the Jaguars game, they were telling people Thursday, all day on the radio, hey, come early because there's going to be more security.
Extra screening. Thanks, James. Yeah. Good call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you. Totally agree with where he's coming from. If you want to have a crackdown on immigrants, if you want to have a way to stop refugees and kick people out of the country and all that, then get ready for what France is going through, because you're going to have police everywhere and checkpoints. And for me, that's not acceptable as someone who cares about freedom.
Yeah, and, the employing military for the United States, the United States has done poorly post-World War II, certainly post-Korea, in having the guts to fight a war. Now, I'm not saying fighting wars is a good idea. I'm a Quaker. I'm against fighting wars. However, I would point out that if you are going to fight a war, you cannot half fight a war. You have to full-on fight the war. And they just keep on failing. They keep on pulling out too soon. They do whatever it is that they do and keep on messing things up. What's
the government? I mean, of course they mess things up.
Well, let's stop doing things that let's stop doing things that we're poor at. How's that? How about being a beacon of liberty? How about being really great at commerce? How about trading with people, being kind to people? Yes, there are bad places in the world where bad people get into power. There's no doubt about it. Can you point to the successes that we've had regarding that? Because there's been a few, but they always come at a cost, right? Like, you take out Hitler. That's the one that everybody's going to go for. You build up Stalin, who kills millions of his own people. So, let's just get out of this game, shall we?
So I want to share from the Quran. We shared a biblical passage first, and there's like 11 more of those that we can go through here about how to treat refugees and immigrants. And it sparked a conversation about treating treating foreigners as yourself. That was the quote from Leviticus here from relevantmagazine.com. Now here's some Islamic text on the very same golden rule. Quote, serve God and join not any partners with him, and do good to parents, kinsfolk, orphans, those in need, neighbors who are near, neighbors who are strangers, the companion by your side, the wayfarer that you meet, and what your right hands possess, which is interpreted as the slave. For God loveth not the arrogant and the vainglorious. In fact, and this is an interpretation here, the Quran goes beyond saying the golden rule by stating in more than 4 places that, quote, return evil with kindness, unquote.
That's what the Beatitudes were about.
What is a beatitude?
The Beatitudes are Jesus' famous Sermon on the Mount.
So return evil with kindness. And it's not a surprise, Mark, that the same concept would be in the Quran as it was in the Bible. In fact, the Quran repeats things a lot. If you've read the thing, you know that. And the reason why it's so repetitive is because it was delivered orally over time. It wasn't all in one sitting, just in the same way that the Bible was over a time frame as well. The Prophet Muhammad was receiving this from, I believe it was the angel Gabriel on several different instances. So it was repeated over and over again for repetition's sake. So people would get it. Like, this is repeated because it's important to return evil with kindness. The Prophet Muhammad said, quote, "None of you have faith until your love for your neighbor," excuse me, I think there's probably a mistyping here, "until you love for your neighbor what you love for yourself."
No, that's right.
Yeah. Another quote, "Whoever wishes to be delivered from the fire and to enter paradise should treat the people as he wishes to be treated." Another one, quote, "None of you truly believes until he wishes for his brother what he wishes for himself." Quote, "None of you is a believer if he eats his full while his neighbor hasn't anything." So again, going back to the same quote from the Bible about giving, leaving
Sharing
your food,
food, yeah.
sharing food with the stranger, sharing food with the poor, with the destitute. Another quote, "Do unto all men," this is another quote from Muhammad, "as you would wish to have done unto you, and reject for others what you would reject for yourselves." Further quote, "Hurt no one so that no one may hurt you." I mean, this is all very, very similar. And that's because the Quran was based off of the Bible.
Yeah, I tend to think that if you never cause anyone harm, that you will probably have fewer people in your life harm you.
Yep.
But you're still going to have people harm you.
It's a principle by which to live.
Yeah.
Right. The idea being that if you're putting harm out into the world, you're far more likely to receive it back. Whereas if you're putting
That's why we
peace,
build prisons, right? To harm people who have harmed people.
And if you are putting peace out into the world, if you're putting love out into the world, then you are far more likely to be the recipient of those things as well. And then another quote here, the final one. "There should be neither harming nor reciprocating harm." So do not strike back when struck. In fact, there is a story, multiple stories, I believe more than one story about Muhammad and how he handled some attackers against his tribe, if you will, his followers. And I don't have it in front of me, so I'm going from my recollection here. But basically, what Muhammad told his people was that if you are not being attacked, you do not have the right to fight back, basically. So once the attack is over, if the attackers are retreating, if they're leaving, you do not have the right to go after them and commence further fighting. You're supposed to turn around and move on and do your best to forgive those people. 855-450-FREE. You can join us here. It's Free Talk Live.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with a click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
from Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, November 22nd, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,077 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $325. Antiwar.com reports with the region still reeling from last week's the Islamic State attacks on Paris, the Belgian government has announced they are raising their alert level in the Brussels region to the highest possible level, citing a serious and imminent threat, which is related to the aftermath of the Paris attacks. Under the heightened alert, the Interior Ministry is warning the public to avoid places with a lot of people, including concerts, sporting events, airports, and train stations. Officials declined to offer further details, saying they wanted to avoid endangering judicial investigations that are ongoing. The Brussels region encompasses the capital and 19 neighboring municipalities, including Saint-Jean-Molenbeek. The rest of Belgium is under the second highest alert level possible. Saint-Jean-Molenbeek has been hyped as one of Europe's largest havens for jihadists and has been the target of post-Paris raids. Locals have held massive vigils to honor the victims of the Paris attacks, trying to shake off their newfound reputation as a terror capital. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports President Barack Obama vowed Saturday to keep the United States border open to refugees, quote, as long as I'm president, end quote, as he visited a Malaysian humanitarian center and met migrant children, many of whom escaped violence in homelands that included Myanmar, Pakistan, and Syria. Obama was in Malaysia for the third Association of Southeast Asian Nations U.S. Summit in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Lawmakers in Washington, D.C. on both sides of the aisle continue to feud with the administration over refugee screenings. On Thursday, the U.S. House passed legislation to impose rigorous screenings on Syrian and Iraqi refugees entering the United States. The bill would subject each of the some 10,000 refugees to vetting from various government agencies, including the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. The administration said it is a virtually impossible task. Obama, who returns to the United States on Monday, promises he will veto the legislation. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a few dozen demonstrators enduring bitter cold on Saturday outside a Minneapolis police station, where they have spent the last week encamped in protest of the killing of an unarmed man. Jamar Clark was shot last Sunday by police 2 blocks from the 4th Precinct police station and died on Monday night after his family decided to disconnect life support. 2 officers under investigation in the incident have been identified, but their ethnicities have not been revealed. Clark's death comes at a time of heightened debate in the United States over police use of lethal force, especially against black people. Over the past year, protests against killing of unarmed black men and women, some videotaped with phones or police cameras, have rocked a number of cities. Michael Wilson, a 33-year-old protester, said through a bullhorn, "There are a lot of us men doing a whole lot of talking, but the men need to make sure that the talk is put into play." He implored the other male protesters to take responsibility for their community and their families. As Wilson spoke, about 50 of his fellow demonstrators tried to stay warm in the 20-degree temperatures by drinking hot coffee and huddling in circles around several campfires. The fires were lit in the middle of the street in front of the police station, where protesters have pitched about a dozen tents. A steady stream of cars arrived throughout the day with more firewood and food as some of the protesters cleaned up garbage strewn about on the muddy ground and city crews scrubbed profane graffiti off the station's brick walls. The mood was relatively light on Saturday as several police officers stood by and mingled with demonstrators, trading recommendations on how to stay warm and chatting about NFL football. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Take the Field's mission is to inform baseball players that physical activity is nothing to be scared of, that a little bit of running can be fun.
Now, Rebecca, this obesity problem is nothing new.
Well, right. There is a culture of obesity in baseball that has been around for years. I mean, coaches even sub in healthy pinch runners instead of encouraging their overweight players to hustle, depriving them of the only cardiovascular exercise they might have a chance to get.
And a lot of these athletes have been playing baseball since they were kids.
Well, right. So they might have never learned any healthy habits.
Baseball is fine in moderation. But many of these men spend over 200 days a year playing it, and that adds up.
The program encourages players once an hour to take a 15-minute break from baseball to do something active, like go up and down some stairs, go for a walk, or play some basketball.
All right, well, thanks, Rebecca. If you're a baseball coach and you're worried about your players' health, go to takethefield.gov for a list of healthy activities and nutritious snacks. Coming up next, does America brains get worse hearing words correct?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us right here, toll-free, 855-450-FREE. What does the Bible say about how to deal with refugees? How to treat these human beings who are trying to escape from a very undesirable situation? And we've just sort of discussed the refugees in general and the idea that the fear of these refugees is going to lead to more state control over our lives, and that welcoming people and being loving towards them is the right, humane thing to do. But beyond that, according to the Bible and to the Quran, it's the very Christian and the Muslim thing to do as well.
Well, the Bible and the Quran say what they say, and I think it's worth pointing that out. But when I say welcoming people, I don't mean the refugee program in the United States is full of welfare. Now, I get that people need to be able to get on their feet in order to live a better life, but religious organizations and charities and individuals can help them do that. Yeah. We do not need to, threaten American citizens at the point of a gun if necessary, because the IRS will send armed people after you if you ignore them long enough.
Not a very Christian thing to do.
Not particularly. So I am not advocating for tax funding for any of these programs. Not for a second.
Let's go to your calls and thoughts, though. We'll continue with some of these relevant quotes from the Bible. We already shared from the Bible and the Quran on this topic, and they're very similar. Let's go to Tom in New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Tom.
Yeah, it's about the trouble in the South China Sea, where different countries have overlapping claims to certain islands, and the Chinese are claiming them, and they're doing various stuff to assert their claims that are disputed. And the trouble is going on. It just so happens that the United States has a perfect opportunity to lead by example, because we just happen to conveniently have an island that with an overlapping claim where Canada and the United States claim sovereignty over the same island between Maine and Nova Scotia, namely Machias Seal Island. It was not included when the two countries went to the International Court of Justice in 1979. And so you bring a case to the International Court of Justice over that island, and then you can tell the Chinese that this is the way that these things are sorted out by countries that respect the rule of law. And that may be a 1% reduction in the chance that World War III is going to break out. See, because you have this, it's a golden opportunity. There's even a lighthouse on the island.
Well, I think that there might be a difference between an island between Maine and Nova Scotia that has a lighthouse on it and whatever's going on in the South China Sea. I mean, I agree that countries should be able to, figure these things out without, floating, aircraft carriers past each other as veiled threats. But so many times, everybody, let's get clearer heads, most often means, okay, we'll do what the most powerful person's military says.
Yeah, but this way here, the International Court of Justice would decide, and if the United States is worried about losing its claim over Machias Seal Island, then they know how the Chinese feel.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom, for your call tonight. Appreciate it. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Here's another quote about how to treat refugees, immigrants, and other displaced people according to the Bible, which many of the people who are anti these Syrian immigrants would claim to uphold. They would claim to be Christians, but are they really? God loves the foreigner residing among you. Quote from Deuteronomy, quote, He defends the cause of the fatherless and the widow and loves the foreigner residing among you, giving them food and clothing. And you are to love those who are foreigners, for you yourselves were foreigners in Egypt. So again, saying pretty clear, you should love foreigners. And you don't love somebody by sending them back into the place where they are going to be slaughtered by madmen. That is not an act of love.
It seems like, in this circumstance, this is one of those situations where you should be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. If you were in a war zone that was started, had by no fault of your own, you're in this war zone, would you like to be able to go someplace else where you can begin a new life? And
yes.
The answer for me is yes. All right. Then let's try to figure out how we can make that happen. Because if it is good, right, just, and valorous for a person to want to, help their family live a better life, right? Like, that's the reason I get up every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I'm making progress every day. Life's getting better for my family every day. I consider that to be my one most important responsibility. And if I'm going to stop another man from doing that for his family, am I the good guy or am I the bad guy in that movie, in that narrative? If I'm saying, nope, sorry, you can't make your life better for you and your family, I'm not talking about welfare here. I'm talking about somebody coming here, working hard. If they've got to drive a shovel for a few years, fine. If they've got to work at a convenience store, fine. I don't care what they do. If they sell falafel out of the back of a truck, I don't care. If somebody wants to buy their falafel, then they should be able to.
Are they selling it for Bitcoin? If so, count me in.
There you go.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE,
I can't eat anything with chickpeas in it.
855-450-3733. Another quote. The sin of Sodom is they didn't help the poor and the needy. Quote from Ezekiel, Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned, referring to the people of those places. They did not help the poor and the needy. So that was the sin there. And, of course, what happened to those people?
Well, God rained down fire and brimstone on them.
So going on here, another quote from Exodus, Do not oppress a foreigner. Quote, Do not oppress a foreigner. You yourselves know how it feels to be foreigners because you were foreigners in Egypt. Now, this is something that Americans, many of them don't know, right? Because they were born and raised here on this particular plot of land. And so they don't have the ability to empathize with others, or at least they're not even trying to empathize. Like, I myself have never been homeless, but I can look at what it's like to be homeless from the outside and say to myself, gosh, I really don't want to experience that. Here, I will help these people who are homeless because were I to be in that undesirable situation, I would really appreciate someone giving me a coat or someone giving me a tent or a warm place to stay. This is not hard to figure out. Even though you haven't been through what the other person has been through directly, it's not hard necessarily to imagine how difficult it might be to, I don't know, be in a place where someone might capture your family members and lop their heads off. That could be a scary place to live. You may not know the extent to which it would be fear-inducing to live in a state like that, but you can at the very least understand, can't you, that it would be scary to be in that circumstance, right?
Yes.
I mean, this isn't hard to do. It's this basic empathy. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. Do not oppress a foreigner, says Exodus. Quote, or I already did that, I'm sorry. Malachi, quote, So I will come to put you on trial. I will be quick to testify against sorcerers, adulterers, and perjurers, against those
darn sorcerers,
defraud laborers of their wages, who oppress the widows and the fatherless, and deprive the foreigners among you of justice. But do not fear me, says the Lord Almighty. So the summary there, do not deprive the foreigners among you of justice.
I'm not sure. Am I supposed to fear God or not fear God? I forgot.
Well, there's certainly plenty of contradictions in the Bible, Mark. There's no doubt about that. I'm not advocating
every religious text. It's not unique to the Bible.
Yeah, right. Just to be clear for anyone just tuning in, this isn't a Christian teaching show. We are not Christian ministers. We are ministers of the Shire Free Church, so I do believe in God, but a different kind of God as the Christians. But I think that there are some relevant things that the Bible has to say and some relevant things that the Quran has to say on this issue of how to treat people from other places. And this also it's not just about refugees. This is about immigrants. And this is not just about immigrants. It's about the people who are different from you that might live across the street from you, that might live across town from you, in the bad part of town. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Maybe you want to share your thoughts with us here. We've also got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. And again, that toll-free number, 855-450-3733. You can join us here on Free Talk Live. And to those of you who are new to the Quran, are you shocked at how similar it sounds to the Bible? It's Free Talk Live.
Have you become a slave to big tobacco? Have they taken away your money, your health, and even your freedom, forcing you to stand out in the cold this winter? There's an alternative. With the help of Jimmy the Juice Man and GiantVapes.com, for less than the cost of a carton of cigarettes, you can make the switch to electronic cigarettes and take back your freedom. At GiantVapes.com, you'll find a selection of high-quality, reasonably priced electronic cigarette hardware kits to get you started, and a selection of delicious, premium, flavored liquid refills from the award-winning Jimmy the Juice Man brand. These aren't the junk you find at your local convenience store or gas station. Use coupon code FTL10 for 10% off your first order of hardware and Jimmy the Juice Man brand liquid at GiantVapes.com, where you'll always get free guaranteed same-day shipping. Break free of the chains of sin taxes and big tobacco. Free same-day shipping and 10% off from GiantVapes.com with coupon code FTL10. That's GiantVapes.com with coupon code FTL10.
ProPure water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. ProPure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. With the silver-infused Pro 1G 2.0 all-in-one water filter. Helps remove and reduce over 200 contaminants. Don't purchase just any filter claiming to be certified. Get the Pro 1G 2.0, the only gravity filter with NSF 42 certification. NSF, valued and recognized for independent certification worldwide. In addition, the Pro 1G 2.0 was independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. ProPure, easy to assemble, easy to maintain, easy to clean filters. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or call 800-544-3533.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is even at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 2 cents lower at $14.31 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $322 US. We have the lowest priced Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You may join us on this live Sunday edition of the program. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're getting into this. We're about halfway through this list from Relevant Magazine of Bible quotes that are, well, relevant in this case to the discussion about immigration and specifically refugees and how to treat people who are displaced. Treat people who are, down on their luck. Treat people who are from somewhere else. And, well, let's just say the people who want to run the immigrants and run their immigrants out and keep the Syrian refugees and any other refugees out. Because remember, this also happened with Jewish refugees back in World War II times. Those people are not behaving as the Bible would suggest they behave, and many of them would likely call themselves Christians. So consider this a review of what the Bible has to say, and also reviewing what the Quran has to say on similar topics. I found some relevant quotes there that we shared with you earlier on. Our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. Whatever your religion, whatever your place in the world, you can probably save 20% or more on all of your Amazon purchases from saveitpurse.com. Now, the trick is you have to have Bitcoin in order to get these huge discounts. And this is no joke. There's no weird thing you have to do in order to get these discounts. You just have to have Bitcoin and go to Save It Purse.
That's weird enough.
SaveATPurse.com. To me, it's not weird because I'm relatively used to Bitcoin.
We're saving money all the time at my house. 30% off on just about everything. Isn't it worth getting some Bitcoin to do that?
Hell yeah, it is. Even if you have to pay 5% or 10% for the Bitcoin.
It can change your life. People are constantly wanting to be able to make more money. Well, it's not what you make, it's what you spend. And if you can spend, if you save 30% on the things you buy, your life's going to be better.
You can buy 30% more stuff.
This is why Bitcoin
or save some money.
This is why Bitcoin's price, I believe, is shot up, is because we've been pushing over time here.
It's not because of what we did, Mark. We're just a little speck in the Bitcoin universe.
Gavin Andreessen, the head developer of Bitcoin, considers his conversation with us, where he talked to us about Bitcoin, to be the most important and lucrative meeting he's ever had in his life.
Well, that's a very nice compliment.
Free Talk Live is the one that got Bitcoin started. And I can read his quotes if you'd like, where he says just that.
That's a very nice compliment, Mark. And didn't he say something like that at the Keenvention?
I wasn't there.
Bitcoin panel. If you missed the Bitcoin panel, you can go to keenvention.info, and the full 90-minute Bitcoin panel is there with Gavin Andreessen and about 5 other Bitcoin experts, including one of the guys from Open Bazaar, Chris Pasha. He was up there.
Oh, really?
And that's actually getting ready to launch, from what I understand, officially. It's ready to come out of beta.
Should be very interesting what's going on with those guys.
We can talk more about that at another time. Let's go first to your calls and thoughts. Don't forget, SaveItPurse.com. SaveATPurse.com. Go there, learn about it. It's super easy to use. Just have to have Bitcoin to save 20% or more on your Amazon purchases. Ryan is in Texas. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, dude. Thanks for taking my call.
Welcome, sir.
I'm really enjoying the conversation tonight.
Thanks.
So I've heard a couple of different points that are criticisms of, the Muslim faith. I just wanted to get your take on. I don't necessarily agree, but these may or may not hold any water, right? Okay. I think a lot of the blowback is maybe, people distrust the government and Obama, first of all, and they're just misdirecting it at the people, the refugees.
But I mean, George Bush, his terminology when speaking about people from Islam, his family's very tight with the Sauds, Saudi Arabian ruling family, and so he's not going to say something. He's never going to say anything against Islam. But I think to some extent, the Republicans, in many cases, the people that are feeling more protectionist at this time tend to be more conservative. So the conservatives, sort of feel scared and, adrift because their guy isn't in the White House. So I would agree to some extent that's what's happening there.
Well, there is a lot of distrust of government in general, and especially Obama. But it also may seem to those people like they're helping to empower government. And, they just don't like to be told they have to do anything by the government. You have to take these people, or you have to pay these taxes. People just
But they don't. I mean, I get that. I agree with your statement that people don't like to be told what they have to do, but nobody's there. There's a group of Somalis in Portland,
Maine, and Minneapolis and elsewhere.
Why do they have to put these people in one area? Why can't they spread them out? Isn't that a better idea? Then you have assimilation go more quickly. It's not like anyone's taking them in.
That's one thing that I've heard. Another criticism that I've heard on some of the talk shows is that they don't assimilate when they move. They set up their own independent society.
Well, it's false. I mean, we had a guy.
Where they kind of,
we had a guy call last night who explained there's 50,000 Somali refugees from the mid 1990s that are living in Minneapolis. There's another group of them. I suspect it's much smaller in Portland, but in Minneapolis, 50,000 strong, and they are assimilated into the culture there. It's been 20 years. And people have maybe they don't have the intention necessarily immediately to do it, but they certainly have the market incentives to do it. Well, but I want to agree with you, Ryan. I agree with where you're coming from. Specifically, the idea that people they don't like being told what to do, but they're also too afraid to tell the government no, right? So it's ultimately the government is forcing them to pay for all kinds of things they don't want to pay for. They don't want to pay for the refugee program. They don't want to pay for Obamacare. They don't want to pay for whatever it is that they don't like. And I don't blame them. I don't want to pay for the government programs either. I want to help people without government.
Right. The government programs are inefficient.
But yes, it's convenient to blame the immigrants.
We're always hearing and being told, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And when you're traveling or a guest somewhere, it's a legitimate criticism that, the cultures may not immediately mix without friction for a while, for sure.
But I can go down to, I can go into Chinatown anywhere. There's a Chinatown.
Yeah.
Mark, you and I have been in D.C. We've been in New York City. And I can go in there and have a frictionless meal at a Chinese restaurant. I can have a frictionless, communication. It won't be the best communication, but I can buy things. We went into one of those inside Chinese mall things the last time we were in New York City, and I bought some candy from one of the Chinese stores. I don't think the guy spoke a lick of English, but he knew how to take my quarter from me.
Sure. Well, one of the talk shows, I learned a little bit. You know how Christianity, we had the Inquisition, people got sick of all this hardcore torture, anti-liberty philosophy, and somewhat there was a big Christian Reformation about, 14, 15, what was it, after the Inquisition, so a couple hundred years ago for sure, 5, 6, whatever. But the Muslim, it's the only modern-day religion that I've heard hasn't undergone a modern Reformation. It's still kind of in the Stone Age, hardcore place.
I wouldn't be able to speak to that. I have no idea.
That's definitely not true. There are different versions of being a Muslim. Some of them
But the two main ones happened upon the death of the prophet.
Hey, thank you, Ryan, for your call tonight here.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. So, just look at the way different Muslim, I guess, I don't know what the right word, sect is not the right word, but variants, if you will. Denominations. Look at the way their women are, for instance, allowed to express themselves.
Sure.
Some total covering, some a hijab. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. It's Free Talk Live.
KDArmor.com is your one-stop shop for the most affordable body armor, period. With packages starting at $169.99 and free shipping on every order. Why would you go anywhere else? KD offers soft armor and rifle threat rated armor up to level 4. Go to KDArmor.com and get your body armor today while you still can. Mention this ad and receive a free water purification kit for a limited time with any body armor package. Go to KDArmor.com. That's CATI armor.com. Come and take it.
Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateurs, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
This past Armistice Day, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage celebrated the end of war by putting their money where their heart is, donating the profit of that day's sales to antiwar.com. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage is making this offer again on Bitcoin Black Friday, November 27th. Shop online at rrbi.co on Black Friday, and Roberts & Roberts will donate the profit of the day's sales to antiwar.com. Antiwar.com is committed to exposing that wars abroad become wars at home. Roberts & Roberts has been your trusted source for precious metals for nearly 40 years. They are anti-war and pro-free market. Banks drive wars. Why use their money? Invest in silver, gold, and Bitcoin and exit the corrupt system that enables war. When you're serious about precious metals, shop Roberts & Roberts online at rrbi.co. That's rrbi.co.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us here, toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you can join us online over at freetalklive.com. With you in studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And if you're online at all, whether you're using Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, or even Linux, you can use ProXPN to help protect yourself online by encrypting your internet connection. When you encrypt your internet connection, that means your own internet service provider will no longer have any clue what you're doing with their internet. So you're protecting yourself from being spied upon by your own ISP. And, of course, your internet service provider can turn that information over to other companies. They can sell it. They can mine it for data and then use that to deliver advertisements to you that you may not have wanted. They could even give that information to the government. So using ProXPN helps protect you against that because ProXPN themselves does not keep logs of your activities whatsoever. So go to proxpn.com. Get signed up using code FTL50. That's FTL like Free Talk Live 50, as in 50% off the regular monthly price when you get their annual account. And it can break the price down to cheaper per month than a good cup of coffee. This is great protection, and ProXPN has servers all around the globe. So go to proxpn.com and you can use code FTL50 to take back the privacy that is your right. We are sharing with you tonight here on this live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live some excerpts from both the Bible and a few from the Quran as well, to sort of compare the similarities between them, but also look specifically at what does the Bible and to a lesser extent the Quran say about how to treat people who are not you. How to treat people who are refugees, specifically. How to treat people from foreign lands, people who are strangers to you. And earlier tonight, there was one guy who talked about how, he didn't want to let people into his home. And I said, it's understandable, but that doesn't mean you can't show love to somebody without letting them into your, or by not living, even if you don't let them sleep in the bed with you, that doesn't mean you can't be loving and welcoming towards those people.
I would ask somebody who's, sort of that opinion, that often the analogy of a house gets used for the nation.
It does. And incorrectly, but yes.
As somebody who lives in your house, am I allowed to have visitors in my room? Right? Can I allow some Syrian refugees to come live at my place?
Why are we using this analogy? It's a terrible analogy.
It's really because people use it.
Well, but it's terrible. It shouldn't
be. If it's terrible, we need to show that it's terrible.
Well, you don't do that by building on it and you continuing to use it. It's a terrible analogy because your house is your private property. No, your house is your private property, and they're using, usually when they use the house as the analogy, they're talking about immigration, and they're saying, well, you wouldn't just let anybody into your house. It could be dangerous or whatever. And they mean into the country, which is not the same concept at all. We're talking about private property versus public property.
Well, what's the reality, though? The reality is your house is not your property.
Well, now you're getting us a little bit
That's not esoteric. I mean, the people are absolutely right when they say, hey, this is the government owns everything, and we as a nation have a democratic republic, and those of us who vote put in people that we like, and those people make their decisions, and those people essentially operate as owners of everything we have. That is accurate. Then what's inaccurate is we call ourselves home of the free. You're not free if 51% of the people can tell you how you have to live. And that's the situation I'm in. I am hereby saying I would like to be able to host a refugee family. If they want to come to my place, accommodations aren't that great, but if they want to come there and stay at my place, I want to host them. If you tell me I can't because nations, immigration, INS, terrorists, whatever your reasons are, you are superseding my wishes.
Yes.
And you're suggesting that I am, in fact, not king of my castle. I don't get to make those decisions.
You should be able to, but yes, you're right, you're not.
Should I not? Should I not be able to open my door to a family?
And this is actually where we're coming to here in this list of things, Mark, the Bible quotes that are relevant to how people should treat people from other places, strangers, travelers, foreigners. And so the guy earlier was saying, he don't want to let somebody into his house. You're saying you're willing to let someone into your house. Mark, you, even though you're not a Christian, are the better Christian in this particular case, because that's what we're going to address next here with this next quote, or actually with the next few quotes here. This one from Kings, quote, summary, do whatever the foreigner asks of you. Quote, as for the foreigner who does not belong to your people Israel, but has come from a distant land because of your name, for they will hear of your great name and your mighty hand and your outstretched arm. When they come and pray toward this temple, then hear from heaven, your dwelling place. Do whatever the foreigner asks of you, so that all the peoples of the earth may know your name and fear you, as do your own people Israel, and may know that this house I have built bears your name.
What they're pointing out here is that when you have immigration coming to your country, that people are power. There are different resources, and labor is an incredibly powerful and important resource. When you have a large and happy citizenry, I point out that native-born Americans, I don't believe, I can't remember for sure, but I believe that native-born Americans aren't actually having enough kids to repopulate the nation, that we'd actually need immigration to grow the numbers. I'm going to look that up in the break, because it may be close and I may be wrong on that. But you want immigration into the country. You want a good amount of immigration because more people is better. These people buy things. They travel in cars. They need apartments to live in. They consume stuff. Now, obviously, you want to get the best immigrants if that's what you can do, and there's better and worse ones and all this other stuff, but, nonetheless.
And that quote, the way it's written, and I don't have the context, the way it's written sounds like it's being addressed to a governmental
it does have that
person.
Sound, yes.
Here's another one, though. This is a little more simple. Leave your door open to the traveler. Quote from Job. No stranger had to spend the night in the street, for my door was always open to the traveler. Now, when we were talking to the gentleman on the phone earlier, I said, look, I understand that you wouldn't want to necessarily he was talking about a screen for his home or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I could understand why you wouldn't want to just let somebody into your home like that. I get it. And I don't think that anyone is asking people to do that. As far as, what I would like to see people do regarding these folks who, are refugees, you don't have to let them into your home, but certainly the Bible says you should. But what you should do is just leave them alone. Don't advocate for their further harming. Don't advocate for them to be forced back into the place where they came from, or to be caged or arrested or whatever if they haven't actually committed any sort of criminal act. Just be okay with other people being in the same vicinity as you. That's step number one. Letting the strangers into your home, leaving the door open to the travelers, that's a little more of advanced, I would say, Christianity and love for one's fellow man. But
I think it's crazy. Honestly,
you just said you take...
I'm interested in refugees, but what's a traveler? Okay, there's a lot of bums in the world. All right,
that's true.
All I have to do is when we go to New York City, we stop off at that that truck stop thing. I don't know what to call it. At the rest area that has the fast food restaurants, the gasoline and everything is one of those. And it's not a rest area that does
a rip-off area
with amenities.
Yeah.
And every time I stop there, somebody's like, "Hey, my car ran out of gas. Can I get $60?" Or they asked me for $20. It's not like they want some change. They're going for the big one, and I'll mail it to you when I get home. Like ridiculous things like that. The world's full of bums.
Yeah, sure.
And I can only imagine if a bum found out, hey, you can go to Job's house and he'll take you in. When does this traveler have to leave? When you take somebody in at night, well, Job says his door's always open.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if your door's always open, you're going to find somebody who's
got yourself a hostel.
Yeah, right. The hostel. You wish hostels charge money.
Yeah, that's true.
These people are going to be just like, hey, I wonder how long I can stay here. Do they get a meal in the morning? How late are they allowed to sleep in?
Yeah.
How late did they?
You and I aren't Christians. I was just pointing that out.
Well, that's
previously.
Job, and Job is the oldest book in the Bible.
Is that right?
Yeah. And it was.
Wait, what about Genesis? Wasn't it?
I'm sorry, that's the first book of the Bible. It is not the oldest book of the Bible.
Oh, interesting. So they put it in a different order than it was written.
Yes. When the books are written is sort of very important for understanding them. So I have no clue what's going on there. Yeah.
All right, we'll continue. There's a few more excerpts from the Bible on what the Bible has to say about how to treat these foreigners, the scary Syrians. 855-450 free. And of course, the overall message here is treat them with love and as though they are you. Because there's really not that much of a difference, is there? It's Free Talk Live.
Dr. Ngozi Obi is an emerging American author of Nigerian descent who's published 2 novels with an inspirational message. A third is in the works. Her first novel, Love's Destiny, follows Naira, a somewhat naive young woman, in a gripping tale of love lost and found. Her second novel, When Dreams and Visions Collide, follows Fern and friends as they discover what it takes to realize a dream and the true meaning of unconditional love. Dr. Obi's books are available where books are sold and ladyofdestiny.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing health care for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
With a new year coming, it's time for a new way to look at weapon storage. Safes can't be accessed quickly, and racks are unsafe for children. Covert cabinets are the next level in home defense. They fit seamlessly into any home's decor, and they provide quick access to firearms while keeping them uniquely hidden. Covert cabinets, the ideal hidden storage solution. Custom made in the USA. Covert cabinets are an elegant and practical alternative to the bulky and obvious storage systems of the past. Find out more at covertcabinets.com. That's covertcabinets.com.
From the admission of Ant Colony 000082567 KLN 00067X into the Union in 1897, to the day in 1817 when embarrassed construction workers realized they put the Erie Canal in the wrong place. The Onion looks back at This Week in History. On August 5th, 1962, Nelson Mandela was jailed until 1990, becoming fully rehabilitated through the South African penal system. And thanks to the services provided to him while imprisoned, emerged from jail a successful politician and internationally revered symbol of peace. Mandela's record of overcoming hardships and moving South Africa beyond its formidable racial struggles is a lasting testament to South Africa's correctional facilities, and prove that the penal system's small cells, demeaning work duties, and minimal rations are exactly the tools needed for a prisoner to truly become a reformed citizen.
This is the Onion News Network.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live Sunday edition. Plenty of time if you want to join us here toll free. 855-450-FREE is our number. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And we've got a website. You can go and get interactive. It's a brand new, redesigned site. freetalklive.com is the place to go. So please go and enjoy the brand new site. It looks great, and there's new features that have never existed before, like when you go during our live hours, which are 7 to 10 at night Eastern Time, 7 nights a week. When you're there during our live hours, it automatically takes you to the live player.
I think it's great.
Now, for some people, this isn't really why they're going to the site. Like, I got an email from a guy last night saying that, you know, he's on the West Coast, so he's still like coming home from work at the time that we're live, and so when he's, you know, going to the site, it's not necessarily because he wants to listen live. He might want to just go download an episode. I understand that, and that's why we have that little link at the top that says you can just skip right to the normal main page of the site. So it's not hard to get past that page if that's what you want. But for most people, we figure when you go during our live show hours, you might want to listen to us live. So that pops up as sort of the default option. It's one of our new features there. You can still vote on the potential show topics. You can submit potential show topics. And there's now the Free Talk Live blog as well, which you can find at it's under the heading FTL News there on the front page of the site. freetalklive.com. Go there, get interactive as we go to Jeff in Illinois. Jeff, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Hi there.
I was going to talk about immigration for one thing.
Sure.
The Europeans are being kept out, the white Europeans, and also the Christians are being kept out who are being persecuted and killed, that they're not being allowed in America. And a German homeschooling family was kept out. They were, I guess, thrown out. They got here and then they were thrown out.
It's terrible.
That's one thing.
So what you're saying is they're just keeping out as many people as they possibly can. across the board.
Well, maybe, but I mean, they're being. It's my understanding they're being selectively against like European people and then letting others in. That
doesn't make sense at all. That's ridiculous. There are the National Immigration Policy. They used to be called the INS. I don't know what they call themselves now, ICE or whatever. They have specific quotas for each different country, from what I understand, or areas of the world, and those are arbitrary and made up by bureaucrats. So I'm sure some countries are given favoritism over others.
Certainly are. Yes.
For whatever arbitrary political reasons. But yeah,
this what I've been hearing on the radio. Anyway,
just because it's on the radio doesn't make it true, including our show.
Yeah, check everything.
Okay. So, the priest mentioned the thing about the Christians, today. I've heard it in different times. Also, the central bankers are what drives our country to get us into wars like that. I mean, it's not like Americans want to go over and fight all these countries and everything. And so somehow we have to get an angle on that and maybe point the, jihadists towards them. They want a police state, and the central bankers and the big shots of the world, the people that have the Bilderberg meetings like they have in Paris. And to do that, they have to create chaos first, because then they can create order out of chaos.
It's like the Hydra movie. It's like the movie Winter Soldier, Captain America movie Winter Soldier, where Hydra it has to create chaos in order to create order. Hydra's thing's all about order. And if we have to kill, 20,000 of the radical thinkers in the world, then we'll do it.
Doctors need disease, cops need crime. Israel needs terrorism to keep demanding U.S. aid, and they have to have chaos so that they can have the police state, and that's just what they're doing in Paris right now. They probably would like to do that here.
Thanks, Jeff, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. And you know what? I don't have the story in front of me, but I remember seeing a headline recently about one of those, I guess, relatively smaller towns that kind of got rid of their police department, and then later on found that the crime rate dropped. Seems counterintuitive, right? You get rid of the police and the crime rate goes down?
I live in a town that doesn't have police, and the crime rate's quite low.
Yeah. You got to wonder about that. And then there was the school, I believe it was in the Boston area, like a charter school, that had a bunch of security apparatus. They had security guards, they had metal detectors, security cameras. The whole thing was like going to prison during the daytime. And they got rid of all of that. New administrators, new management came in and decided to just get rid of all of that and just let, the kids be kids, basically, and, put in punishments if necessary through administrative methods. And what do you know? Incidents of violence reduced at the school. How could that be? How could it be that you could get rid of the security apparatus and have a safer place?
Because when you treat people like inmates,
they'll act like
inmates.
That's exactly right. Let's continue here. Colin's on the line in California. You're on Free Talk Live.
How you doing?
Hey there. Go ahead.
Okay, hey, I think you guys are a little out of touch with the way America was formed.
Oh, yeah, tell me about it.
When we invited all the immigrants in here, it was, hey, come here and we'll give you an opportunity to work. We didn't say come here and we'll give you a taxpayer-free ride.
No one's advocating for that.
Maybe you've tuned in recently. I was really very clear.
Any immigrant, any illegal alien that comes here, what do you think they're coming here for? They're even told they'll get a house and a car.
Are you claiming that we have a welfare problem, not an immigration problem? Because I'd agree with you.
Yeah, okay. Here, when you want to quote the Bible, 2 Thessalonians 3:10 says, "For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither shall he eat."
Fine by me.
So if you don't work, you shouldn't eat.
Have you ever listened to Free Talk Live for more than 2 minutes?
Yeah, I've listened to you for years and years and years.
Okay, well then you should know that we're not in favor of the welfare state, and nor have we ever supported the welfare state. And sir, nor have we ever agreed with you with the idea that we can't talk over top of one another. It's not an actual conversation.
Come all overrun us, and we will take care of you. You can't rob Peter to pay Paul.
Okay. I'm just going to put you on hold.
Yeah, so first off, thank you so much for another opportunity to talk about this, because I would agree 100%. If somebody who, I have no belief that any American should pay for any immigrant or refugee or anybody that they don't want to pay for.
That's right.
I believe that is that's an aspect of a free person, that you should be able to decide where your money goes. So thanks for the opportunity to address that again. How anybody who's listened to Free Talk Live for any length of time might think that we agree with that. That's a different story.
You must actively not be paying attention to what's being said.
So this is an opportunity for us to talk about what's right. No one's going to listen to Free Talk Live, okay? Like, there's no danger of some politicians saying, oh, yeah, I was listening to this radio show with these two guys on last night. Turns out I don't want to get voted back into office, and I want to let a bunch of refugees in. They're not going to do that, okay? There's no danger here of what we're talking about coming true. We're simply talking about what's right. We are the voice in the wilderness crying out.
That's
Bring
right.
him back on.
Well, I want to say one thing about his claim that any immigrant, he said any immigrant coming here knows they can come here and get a bunch of free stuff. Look, that sounds to me like someone who actually doesn't know anyone who is an immigrant, because every immigrant I've ever known came here because they wanted to make a better life for themselves, and they were not whatsoever collecting any kind of welfare. Go ahead, Colin.
Okay, well, like I say, I've listened to you guys for many years. You guys have even commented. Mark knows me from way back. I used to text him and talk to him online. You remember you guys read one of my things and made fun of it way back years ago.
I don't remember anything about that.
Anyway, like I'm saying, hey, I'm all for, like, what you guys described, being fair to people, and everybody deserves a fair shake, but not at the expense of, you can't rob Peter to take care of Paul.
We agree with you.
That's all I'm
what
saying.
made you think we were saying anything differently?
Stop being so combative. He brought it. He gave us an opportunity to talk about it again. Thank you, Colin.
You were saying that hey, that we should let illegal aliens come in here and have. I said we could end illegal immigration overnight by making sure anybody that employs them gets fined.
Well,
exorbitantly.
I don't want a bigger government program, but let me ask you this.
We shouldn't have any government programs. Government should.
Where do you think the fines come from,
The fines
dude?
come from government programs.
You think the fines are just going to come out of the sky?
Say it again. What fine?
You just said you wanted to fine businessmen who employ people who are.
I've got a machine shop and I hire illegal aliens, and they say, hey, they've got a green card that I can. If I can check every debit card at every 7-Eleven in the country, I can sure as hell find out if this guy's here illegally if the government wants that. But obviously the government doesn't want that. They want illegal immigration. So
I think a lot of them do want illegal immigration, but I will point out that the Visa card thing, that a debit card at every that's a free market thing. The government can't do anything simply. They know they can't tell you because it's a big bureaucracy. When you call the IRS, they can't even give you good tax advice.
Thanks, Colin, for the call tonight. Look, you can't say on one hand you want to fine business owners who hire so-called illegal immigrants, and then on the other hand say you don't want the government to be around.
That's why I want the blue card. The blue card allows anybody who it's different than the green card. Allows anybody who wants to come here and work be completely ineligible for welfare. They'll be ineligible for the minimum wage. They're just here to work and build a better life for themselves.
Our toll-free number allows you to bring up whatever's on your mind. 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. It's Free Talk Live.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, November 22nd, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,077 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $325. Antiwar.com reports with the region still reeling from last week's the Islamic State attacks on Paris, the Belgian government has announced they are raising their alert level in the Brussels region to the highest possible level, citing a serious and imminent threat, which is related to the aftermath of the Paris attacks. Under the heightened alert, the Interior Ministry is warning the public to avoid places with a lot of people, including concerts, sporting events, airports, and train stations. Officials declined to offer further details, saying they wanted to avoid endangering judicial investigations that are ongoing. The Brussels region encompasses the capital and 19 neighboring municipalities, including Saint-Jean-Molenbeek. The rest of Belgium is under the second highest alert level possible. Saint-Jean-Molenbeek has been hyped as one of Europe's largest havens for jihadists and has been the target of post-Paris raids. Locals have held massive vigils to honor the victims of the Paris attacks, trying to shake off their newfound reputation as a terror capital. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports President Barack Obama vowed Saturday to keep the United States border open to refugees, quote, as long as I'm president, end quote, as he visited a Malaysian humanitarian center and met migrant children, many of whom escaped violence in homelands that included Myanmar, Pakistan, and Syria. Obama was in Malaysia for the 3rd Association of Southeast Asian Nations U.S. Summit in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Lawmakers in Washington, D.C. on both sides of the aisle continue to feud with the administration over refugee screenings. On Thursday, the U.S. House passed legislation to impose rigorous screenings on Syrian and Iraqi refugees entering the United States. The bill would subject each of the some 10,000 refugees to vetting from various government agencies, including the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. The administration said it is a virtually impossible task. Obama, who returns to the United States on Monday, promises he will veto the legislation. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a few dozen demonstrators enduring bitter cold on Saturday outside a Minneapolis police station, where they have spent the last week encamped in protest of the killing of an unarmed man. Jamar Clark was shot last Sunday by police 2 blocks from the 4th Precinct police station and died on Monday night after his family decided to disconnect life support. 2 officers under investigation in the incident have been identified, but their ethnicities have not been revealed. Clark's death comes at a time of heightened debate in the United States over police police use of lethal force, especially against black people. Over the past year, protests against killing of unarmed black men and women, some videotaped with phones or police cameras, have rocked a number of cities. Michael Wilson, a 33-year-old protester, said through a bullhorn, "There are a lot of us men doing a whole lot of talking, but the men need to make sure that the talk is put into play." He implored the other male protesters to take responsibility for their community and their families. As Wilson spoke, about 50 of his fellow demonstrators tried to stay warm in the 20-degree temperatures by drinking hot coffee and huddling in circles around several campfires. The fires were lit in the middle of the street in front of the police station, where protesters have pitched about a dozen tents. A steady stream of cars arrived throughout the day with more firewood and food as some of the protesters cleaned up garbage strewn about on the muddy ground and city crews scrubbed profane graffiti off the station's brick walls. The mood was relatively light on Saturday as several police officers stood by and mingled with demonstrators, trading recommendations on how to stay warm and chatting about NFL football. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A dead iPod is remembered as expensive. It's the Onion Radio News. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Despite heroic efforts at resuscitation, a third-generation 30-gigabyte iPod, serial number AP356372, was pronounced dead early this morning at the age of 2. The iPod's closest companion, Sarah Zartman, says she'll never forget the great music it used to play, nor will she forget the nearly $500 price tag.
I'll remember those 3,500 songs as long as I live. That iPod was convenient, portable, and really pricey.
Zartman added that had she known the iPod's lithium-ion battery would have such a short lifespan, she might have spent more time listening to it. AP356372 is survived by a BlackBerry. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
You can join us here on Free Talk Live. Take control of the airwaves at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also, Skype into the show. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. I don't think we've had any Skype calls tonight, but the phone's been actually pretty busy. You're welcome to join us here. With you in the studio, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We've been discussing what the Bible actually says about how to treat refugees. I think a lot of people who call themselves Christians could use a little review of some of the basics of being a Christian. And this is coming from two guys who were raised in Christian sort of churches and schools and such, but who are no longer necessarily practicing Christians. We're ministers in the Shire Free Church, which is an interfaith church. Mark, you are a Quaker, and I am a panentheist. But I have a lot of respect for a lot of what the Bible says, especially on the messages of peace and being loving towards our neighbors and towards foreigners, towards people who are not directly our neighbors, towards people from elsewhere in the world, towards people who have maybe a differing belief system, a different set of values. And we're going through some of those quotes. We'll continue them. But first, Andy is in Texas. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Andy.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Welcome. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, I just your last caller, he brought up a subject about we just need to find the employers that hire these illegal immigrants, and that I've been an employer a long time in my life, and it's not my problem. I'm not set up to, as a small business, I'm not set up to police the borders and make sure illegal people come over.
As a small businessman, would you like some more work handed down to you from the federal government that you don't get paid for?
No, I wouldn't want any work from the federal government that I don't get paid for.
Right.
No, the whole point of the matter is that the small businessman and employers and whatnot, they're being criticized and critiqued and stuff to do the federal government's job. There are immigration laws on the books. I didn't make them. I don't agree with them. But they're there, and so how can you put the responsibility on a small business owner for a job that was failed when the person walked across the border? I mean, the government was responsible for that. So how do we? I mean, people. It just makes me mad. That's why I called.
Well, because it makes you another scapegoat. Because then they can point at those evil small business people. If it weren't for those small business people hiring these hardworking immigrants for willing to pay to work for less, then we'd all have our jobs back or whatever. Which of course is economically ignorant.
You know what, though? They don't come here to work for less, because when I was paying, and I did have some immigrants that perhaps shouldn't have been here. I was paying them top dollar because they did better work than the lazy people that had to look into. I mean,
what was the work? If I might ask, what kind of work was it?
It was fences and decks, building fences and decks. Yeah. And these guys, they just wanted the money. And they did send their money back across the border and stuff, which it doesn't bother me.
Good for them. They love their family. I mean, it's great, right?
If I'd like to send some money to somebody in a different country, I should be free to do that.
Yeah.
I think we all should just look at people as people.
Thank you, Andy. I love your call tonight. I really appreciate hearing from you. Great perspective. Interesting. There you go. From a businessman in the United States, he had better experiences hiring immigrants for the same amount of money because they were better. They had a better work ethic. Now, that is contrary to the beliefs of some of these people who've called into the show. The one guy earlier saying any immigrant coming here is basically going to get on welfare, which is a ridiculous claim and just proven to be false by that man on the phone there.
I could tell you as a small business person that I don't deal with the federal government's immigration stuff in my business, but I do have to deal with all kinds of mandates as far as paperwork, as far as taxes go. My wife has spent as many as 40 hours in a year. That's a full week's worth of work. That's 50, that leaves her only able to work for my business 51 weeks out of the year because the United States federal government took her from me 1 week out of the year to fill out their tax forms.
This is back when you guys did that stuff, right?
That's
because now
indentured servitude. I think
as a minister, you shouldn't be doing that stuff anymore.
I don't have to.
Right.
But I mean, that was the case. Yeah. That was what it was like.
That's what it's like for most people, where they have to jump through all these arbitrary hoops put up by the government and never get a dime from them for it.
Yeah. By the way, ministers do have to pay taxes if they earn enough to. If they earn enough to file.
A good minister shouldn't be earning anything. You should be just barely, living off of what the church provides and giving back to the church.
It depends. Different organizations do different things.
Yeah, I guess. Ralph is listening in New Jersey. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ralph.
Yes. Well, I like that call that Andy made, but also the guy who mentioned about they are on welfare. Of course, there are some of them who are.
Some are, sure.
I'm not that naive or gullible to know that they have an understanding on how to play the system. All right. I mean, come on. There are an influx of Mexicans, as a matter of fact, here in New Jersey, who are on public assistance or the entitlement program.
Yep.
But that being said, regarding the religion of Islam, okay, if they claim they are a religion of peace, then show it to me by your word and your deed that you can coexist with other people. Okay?
They are showing you. They are showing you every single day by virtue of the fact that they're not blowing anyone up.
Right. An individual can only show you what the individual is going to do as far as their religion. If you can see a small percentage of a group doing something, it's like pointing at whatever crimes are committed in the United States and saying, look, Christians are doing that.
Go down to a local mosque and meet some of the folks there and see what sort of some of the activities, the various peaceful activities they're involved in. I know the folks from Muslims for Liberty came to the Porcupine Freedom Festival this year, and they engaged in the
Islamic.
I'm sorry.
They will find Islamic people. I'm going to say there are some people from the Middle East who came to this country and who has contributed tremendously to this country. Okay, I would name some names. We all know about the radio great Casey Kasem, right?
Casey Kasem's from the Middle East. Okay.
Casey Kasem is from the Middle East.
Yeah,
exactly.
I believe that.
And over there in New Hampshire, there's a guy, a close advisor to George Bush. The name somehow escaped me. Okay,
Like I said, you go down to a mosque and meet some of these folks and see what kind of projects they're involved in, and you'll find all manner of different peaceful, caring, loving outreach projects. I like your call tonight, Ralph. Thanks for making it. I appreciate it.
Get rid of you before you mess that up.
Yeah. He actually went in a different direction tonight than his typical call, so I like it when you change things up on us there. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Here's another one. This is more the verses from the 12 Bible verses that Christians really ought to pay attention to, because it's giving them good advice in a lot of cases on how to love immigrants as yourself, to not mistreat them, to treat them as though they are you, to love them as yourself. This is sort of the overarching message, but it's getting a little bit more serious here in this later portion of the piece. Invite the stranger in. A quote from Matthew, quote, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Unquote. So, again, let's start with the basics. Just allow the people to be here. You don't have to invite them into your home, but the Bible says you should. The Bible says you should make a place for the stranger in your home. What do you think about that? Our toll-free number is the Bible wrong, Christians? 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We go on here. Here's another one. This is a little more esoteric. We were all baptized by one Spirit. Quote from Corinthians. Quote, "Just as a body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, so it is with Christ. For we were all baptized by one Spirit, so as to form one body, whether Jews or Gentiles, slave or free, and we were all given the one Spirit to drink. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many." And that sort of comes down to, I think, one of the times when the Bible, I think, evokes a panentheistic view or a pantheistic view, and that is that everything is connected. And even though that we seem to be separate from one another, we're actually, in point of fact, inherently together. 855-450-FREE. That's our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here on the Live Sunday edition.
I'm Steve Sidkowski, a former Wall Street insider. Right now, I'm holding a book that could change your life. It will show you investing strategies which could help you earn the kind of money you've always dreamed about. And right now, I'm giving this book away for free. So who needs to read it? If you're in the middle of your career and you worry you'll never have enough money to retire, you need to read this book. If you're already retired and your income isn't enough, you need to read this book. And if you don't want to be selling burgers at the age of 80, well, you need to read this free book. The reality is, you'll need at least $1 million to ever fully retire. If you're behind on that goal, you really need to read Trade Like the Pros. And you can for free by calling 1-800-505-6991. Are you skeptical that it will deliver results? It's a free book, so what do you have to lose? Find out how at 1-800-505-6991. That's 1-800-505-6991. 1-800-505-6991.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined. From where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us right here. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We've got Skype, by the way. The Skype username, if you want to connect to us and sound like you're almost sitting here in the studio, Skype username is lrn.fm. You can go to shop.freetalklive.com. Go ahead, do it when you get home, if you're in the car or if you're already home or in the office. Drop on over to shop.freetalklive.com. You can link into Amazon through the links there. There's Amazon UK, Amazon Canada, Amazon US. These are 3 options for you that you can use to get the stuff you need for your life and for your loved ones, because it is that holiday gift-giving season. So why not just go and get it taken care of right now? And Free Talk Live benefits when you enter through shop.freetalklive.com. So it's a great way to get the stuff you need, get the gifts you need to pick up, and help Free Talk Live all at the same time. It's shop.freetalklive.com as we continue here with just a couple more quotes from the story over at Relevant Magazine? Yeah, relevantmagazine.com. And it's all about biblical quotes. And we did share some Quran quotes earlier as well that were similar. Biblical quotes about how to treat immigrants and refugees. And the short version is, treat them as though they were you. Wouldn't you want someone to offer you help if you were in a dire, stressful, dangerous situation? Wouldn't you want that? So try your best to offer as much of that as you possibly can to another person.
Well, I think that's all great and well and good, but in many cases, what these refugees need is just for people to get the heck out of the way.
Well, that's true as well, and certainly getting out of the way is better than advocating those people be rounded up and taken to some horrible place like back to Syria or whatever. But nonetheless, the Bible is more specific than just leave them alone. The Bible says you need to open your home to them, that you should treat them as you would treat yourself and love your neighbor. So here's another one. Galatians says, quote, "For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command, love your neighbor as yourself." So just like in the Quran, this comes up multiple times in the Bible. This is an important message. It's being repeated for a reason. Going on here, the final quote. This is a little bit of a lengthy one from Luke. Quote, he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" In reply, Jesus said, quote, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side." So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and
Many
gave
people will point out that he didn't take him to his home. Well, I suspect it's because he was traveling.
I see what you're saying, yeah. Brought him to an inn. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense that you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? The expert in the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise. So here we are. We've now spent the good bulk of the show going over these dozen passages from the Bible, and I'm sure there are more than this. That are very, very clear about how people who call themselves Christians should behave towards those who are strange to them. People who are from elsewhere, who may not subscribe to the exact same beliefs, who may be a little bit different in some ways, whether it be the Muslim, whether it be someone who has a different lifestyle than the Christian, the self-professed Christian. And yet they don't. They drop the ball on this time and time again. In fact, not only do they drop the ball, but they advocate for the opposite. It's really sick. Whether you're a Christian or not, it's wrong.
Yeah, I do see how. You have I don't think that a Christian has any obligation to open up their door or their nation or whatever to any old buddy who might be wishing to do them harm or whatever. But when you have no evidence that an individual might commit harm, then that's a different story. At the very least,
that's living your life in fear.
Let other people help them. That's all I'm asking is that let me help one Syrian refugee family.
It's really because they're living their lives from a place of fear, isn't it? I mean, they're afraid
Humans are motivated by fear all over. There's no doubt about it.
That doesn't mean it's okay. We need to get over whatever our natural desire or fears are.
Sometimes fears are good things to have.
It's okay to be cautious, I think, but not to be fearful. I don't think that you can add value to the world if you are coming from a place of fear. If you want to add value to the world, you have to be coming from a place of love. And in my opinion, you're only coming from one of those 2 places. Now, the fear or the love may manifest itself into slightly different feelings, if you will, but generally the feelings that you're having in your life are stemming from one of those 2 ideas, one of those 2 places, if you will. And if you're coming from fear, you cannot simultaneously be coming from love. It's just not possible.
Okay.
And so the people who are coming and saying, oh my God, these immigrants might hurt people. Oh, these immigrants are just, ISIS agents in disguise. Oh, these Jewish people are Nazis in disguise. It's all coming from fear. And the government loves that. They love it when you're afraid. They want you to be afraid. So many of these people who, on one hand, claim that we actually had a guy earlier say he doesn't like the government, but yet he wants the government to find people who are running businesses that are hiring immigrants, hiring so-called illegal immigrants. Okay, you can't have it both ways. The government wants you to be afraid, so you will turn to them to solve this purported problem. And then they use that, your desire for them to help you, to enslave you even further. Is that really what you want? And would Jesus advocate that you do what the Romans are demanding that you do?
Yeah, the Romans are the occupying government, and that story, so...
What would Jesus say about that?
Pretty clear what Jesus would say.
Well, maybe it's not that clear. I mean, that's kind of why we're spending a good portion of the show on this.
Most people who call themselves Christians spend no time thinking about what Jesus would do.
Apparently not.
They spend no. That's because they're not Christians. Okay, like you either spend your time thinking about what Jesus would want. And that's what a Christian would do.
What do they spend their time thinking about?
They're just normal folks going through life that...
I mean, is it like are they like the kid asking Jesus for a bicycle or something like that? Are they just asking for favors from God? Is it like all about me when they're praying and like what they want to have happen to them, like a little magic spell or something?
I suppose that's likely. I would say that that most people are just going along to get along. They believe what they've been told because that's what they've been told, but they do Christianity on Sunday morning. I mean, that's probably how most Muslims are too. That's probably how most I don't know what else, Zoroastrians and Buddhists and the rest of these folks. Yeah, whatever they are. I'm sure that they're only, fair weather when it comes to their religion. Quakers were very clear that you have to be. The reason they don't celebrate Christmas is because you should be acting like it's Jesus' birthday every single day of the year.
Yeah. 855-450-FREE. That's toll-free. We're here. It's live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. 855-450-3733. Well, what are the Satanists doing during all of this?
What are the Satanists doing, indeed?
There's actually news about the Satanic Temple opening its doors to American Muslims. We'll explain. It's Free Talk Live.
If you're like me, you're concerned about the stock market and the economy. You're asking the questions, but it just doesn't seem that you're getting the right answers. Well, my friends at the Wealth Preservation Institute not only have the answers, but they've put together a free report, How to Survive the Upcoming Economic Collapse and Protect Your 401ks, IRA savings, and retirement income. Don't hesitate. This report's for free for a limited time by calling 888-772-2929. That's 888-772-2929. Take back your financial lives today.
Hey, Berkey Guy here. Are you still drinking unfiltered tap water? Does your water contain chlorine or fluoride? Will you have drinkable water in an emergency? The Berkey Guy is here to help you remove these and other potential contaminants from your water, thus helping you drink clean, purified water. We offer Berkey water purification systems at the lowest available prices online. Don't go another moment without Berkey system. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands drink clean, purified water. Join them by visiting goberkey.com or call me, the Berkey Guy, at 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is even at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 2 cents lower at $14.31 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $322 US. We have the lowest priced Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll-free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. It's Skype username, LRN.FM. One thing we don't have right now are chocolate-covered pretzels and other nuts from nuts.com. That's because we devoured them. You got an entire box full of various different tasty treats from nuts.com and have extinguished the entire box within about a week's time. But they're awesome, and I highly recommend you check out nuts.com. They get some great product. In fact, it's the best tasting nuts on the planet. They get their product from the best suppliers in the world. It's a super easy to use site. They've been around, by the way, not on the internet, but they've been around since 1929, and it's a family-owned business. They've prided themselves on delivering the best in nuts and dried fruit and other sweet treats like the chocolate-covered pretzels, every flavor of gummy bear, monkey munch. They've even got cooking and baking goods, including almond flour, chia seeds, spices, grains, and any old powder you might want to throw in your smoothie, coffees and teas, including over 39 different kinds of coffee and over 170 flavors. It's just an incredible selection. Over 3,000 healthy snacks are available there to you at nuts.com. The best offer we can give you as a Free Talk Live listener, you get a bonus. You put in code FTL when you go to nuts.com. Code FTL. You click the microphone, put that in there. That's how you get access to getting 4 free samples. You get to choose from over 50 options. Now, again, there's a huge selection on the site already, so you have to put together a minimum order. I think it's like $25. And then you get the 4 free samples on top of that. So try something new. So go through their list of options and try some new things because there's some cool stuff there.
I saw a really cool offer they had that I think it's if you get $80 worth of stuff, and it's easy to do. I mean, there's really some great options there. That they have a free 8-inch pecan pie.
Yeah, that looked absolutely just unbearably impossible to avoid, right? Like I wanted that pecan pie.
We were talking about pronunciation of the word coupon or coupon off the air, and
pecan or pecan.
So I say I believe I say pecans whenever I am talking about the nut, but when I talk about the pie I say pecan.
I think you said pecan earlier in our conversation, like a few moments ago.
Okay, I don't remember doing that, but all right.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Somebody will have to rewind and check it out. But yeah, we were talking off the air previously about coupon versus coupon. And I grew up with coupon, but you had pointed out that in one of our commercials, Renee from Anarchicks, she says coupon. And I said, it's got to be some kind of New England thing. You actually pulled up a survey by like coupon.com. They did a scientific study about this, apparently, and asked Americans how they say the word coupon. Turns out the majority of Americans actually say coupon. What was it, 57%?
It was 57% say coupon, not coupon.
And you were insulted by that.
I'm insulted?
You were. You acted insulted by that.
No, I was insulted that you suggest that because somebody, that 57% of people pronounce it in particular fashion, that is the right way to pronounce it.
Yeah, and then I turned it around on you by saying, all right, well, if that's the case, then leave me alone when I pronounce amarillo instead of the Americanized version of it.
When you're talking amarillo is how you pronounce
amarillo.
Yellow.
You don't say amarillo and then roll the R, and you say amarillo.
Okay, right.
Okay, you gotta get it right here.
No, I don't. I don't.
That's all I'm saying. Don't give me a hard time. I won't give you a hard time about
You're
coupon.
a pretender.
I won't give you a hard time about coupon and your beliefs there if you don't give me a hard time about how I want to pronounce it.
You think I'm going to stop giving you a hard time? It's been over 10 years now, man. I make a living giving you a hard time.
Then I will continue to tell you then that if that's the case, if you're holding a contradictory position, so I will continue to tell you that if the majority says it's coupon, then it's coupon.
I'm suggesting that a large minority may not be mistaken. When you're a minority of one,
it's you're not mistaken. I think it's whatever floats your boat. Potato,
Yes. Nobody says potato.
Somebody's got to say that out there. Let's go to Will. He's on the line from Muslims for Liberty in Tennessee. Muslims, 4liberty.org. Hey, Will.
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing tonight?
I don't know how much of our conversation you've heard, but we've been talking about a lot of Bible verses and how people who call themselves Christians should treat others. At one point, we actually compared verses with the Quran, which sure does sound awfully similar on this particular subject, and that is that both the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad did make it clear that you should love others as yourself. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. No man loves no man truly believes till he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. And the Mufassir, the scholars of Islam, all the way back to the time of around the death of the Prophet ﷺ, said that he didn't say the mu'min, the believer, or the Muslim. He said your brother, as in your brother in humanity.
Yeah, anyone.
Your fellow child of Adam. That it's already implied that Muslims should treat each other that way, that it was reiterated specifically so people would know that you should treat all people that way. But,
and this is something that both Christians and Muslims fail on, right? I mean, you've got divisions between Christians and Muslims. You've got divisions between Muslims and Muslims, but between Christians and Christians. And they just don't. They're not following one of these most basic teachings of both of those books.
Will, no one ever calls me and asks me to represent all of Western civilization or anything like that. I never have that happen to me. But I know that it's just one of those things. If you're a Muslim, they're going to ask you to represent Islam. Some guy called in last night and asked the question, why doesn't Saudi Arabia, who supposedly has a whole bunch of sort of worker areas that are air conditioned that they can take in a huge amount of refugees, why doesn't Saudi Arabia take them in? I mean, obviously, the Quran, Saudi Arabia is a rather Islamic country. The Quran suggests that they should be taking in refugees. Why don't they?
Well, because they're not an Islamically sound state. That would be the first thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a monarchy, and monarchy was outlawed by the Prophet ﷺ. So, I mean, if you have a government that its very makeup is considered illegitimate by the religion, why would you expect that they would do anything that the religion called for?
There you go.
And the areas that they have, those are actually Hajj areas for the pilgrims who come for the Hajj pilgrimage, which just ended about 2 months ago. So all of that space is open and available. But again, the Saudis have a hand in creating this mess. So why would they want? I mean, America's giving them the weapons. They're not, we're doing arms deals with them. Why would they want to put themselves out when this is partly of their making to begin with? I mean, they didn't do anything for the Palestinians in the course of the last 60 years. What on earth makes you think they're going to do something for the Syrians?
There you go.
Now, the Hajj is the pilgrimage that all Muslims should take if they're able to do so at some point in their lifetime. Have you gone?
No. I haven't been financially able to go. It's quite expensive to go. Plus, it also requires me to do something I'm not really sure if I'm comfortable with. I saw what Davi did, where he wrote under duress instead of signing his name, but I know that
this was on what paperwork was he doing?
On his visa paperwork. They said you have to acknowledge the sovereignty of the Saudi royal family.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
And he wrote under duress rather than writing his name. But I know that if you purchase a Hajj package, that part of that money goes to the Saudi state. And I just cannot bring myself to do something that I know will put money into the pockets of these people, even if they have trillions of dollars and, my, $700 or $800 out of my Hajj package that they get to pocket is, a drop in the bucket.
That's disgusting. That's terrible. Those people take $800 out of pilgrims, money.
I can't bring myself to do that. I just can't do so. And actually, myself as well as a group of Muslims over the course of the last few years have actually called for a boycott on Hajj, that in order for Muslims to show that they have rescinded their their acknowledgement and their consent for the Saudi Arabian royal family to rule over this area, that we will stop going to pilgrimage until they are no longer in power. Unfortunately, that hasn't gotten very much traction.
Will, was there more you wanted to share tonight with us?
Yeah. Actually,
all right, stand by. Will Coley is with us from Muslims for Liberty, and we might actually have time to fit your call in. If you've got a question for a Muslim, it's Ask a Muslim on Free Talk Live in the remaining moments. So if you want to get a question in for Will, dial now, 855-450-FREE.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sam Nussbaum with the Anthem Foundation. Premature birth is the leading cause of death of babies and disabilities for children. That's why we support the March of Dimes to help mothers have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. Join us in supporting cutting-edge research, treatment and outreach to help moms during their pregnancy and give every baby a healthy start in life. Learn how you can help at marchofdimes.org.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Join us right here, toll free, 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Skype username is lrn.fm. Hey, if you enjoy Free Talk Live, we would like to invite you to become a Free Talk Live amplifier. You get to help us for $5 a month expand the show and get on more radio stations, bring the message of peace and liberty around the world and around the United States, where it is certainly needed. But also you get perks. You get access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only podcast, the AMP-only Facebook group, which is always hopping with activity. There's always some fresh new thread or multiple new threads on a daily basis there. I got to say that the AMP Facebook group, probably one of the more active groups I'm on of all of the various different Facebook groups.
It is busy.
So you can get access to the other doers, the other people who care enough about this show and what we're doing here to contribute a mere $5 a month to Free Talk Live and our efforts in spreading the ideas of freedom. It's invested into the show. We use it to market the show, to advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live, to get on more stations, to get on more satellite signals. And by the way, I'm sorry to announce that our African satellite that we spent time raising money for last year, or earlier this year rather, has gone dark. I got an email early this morning, and actually it was yesterday, multiple emails over the weekend updating me on this status that our signal was not on the satellite, the Amos 5 satellite over Africa, most of East, West, Central Africa. And later they determined that the entire satellite is basically has no power or something like that. So we're going to figure out what is going to happen. Our satellite provider is working on alternatives as we speak. So at the moment, unfortunately, our show is not being heard on free-to-air satellite, but hopefully we will be remedying that sooner rather than later, and we'll certainly let you know as we roll towards 2016, where likely we'll be doing more fundraising for more satellite time, because there are people out there who need to hear the ideas of liberty, and they're not all in the United States. So the AMP program helps do all of those things. Please go to the AMP page, learn more about it, get signed up with any major credit card through PayPal, or use Visa or MasterCard right there on our website. It's amp.freetalklive.com, amp.freetalklive.com. Now, Will is from Muslims for Liberty. Will, you're in Tennessee, and you were calling for another purpose than what we've already discussed. So go ahead with whatever that was.
Well, yeah, you guys were talking about, the fear that is, taking over society. And there's actually a pastor who's a writer that I like to follow. His name's John Pavlovitz. He writes for a website called Stuff That Needs to Be Said. He's actually a pastor in Wake Forest, North Carolina. And he wrote an article called The Greatest False Idol of Modern Christianity. And he discusses this false idol in his article. He says that it shows up in our lazy stereotypes and religious rhetoric that flows so easily in church, lobby, coffee chats, and extremist rants. And just like you just said, it's as if everything has now become an imminent threat. Muslims, atheists, gays, the president, inner city criminals, Hollywood.
Christmas. Yeah, the Walmart greeters.
Illegal immigrants, even school hallways. Though we loudly and repeatedly and confidently proclaim Christ as Lord, in reality, many of us no longer practice faith in a God that seems to have any real power, any true control, or inherent godness. We seem to have little more than a neutered figurehead deity who doesn't seem to be able to handle much more at all anymore. When excuse me. Said you dig just beneath the sunny I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me Bible covers and the God's judgment is coming bullhorn warnings, you'll find that much of America has imagined a powerless God who's mostly keeping heaven tidy until the Christians get there, and in the meantime we live in a perpetually frightened freak-out mode. Fear has become a false god to one too many of us worship with a complete and undying devotion.
I tend to agree with most of that. It's my opinion that Christians in this country, people identify as Christians in this country, are conservatives. And conservative, as I define it, is somebody who harkens back to the past. I like the way things were back then. For the 50s when boys rolled cigarettes up in their sleeves and girls had poodles on their skirts. That kind of, that thought process. They're loath to change, don't like other people's new ideas, that kind of thing. And who likes new ideas? I'm not. I call myself a conservative in that vein too. But it's just that Christianity was part of that world, so they continue on with it. If you ask them to commit to a real Christian commitment in their lives, they have no interest in the
like loving
change.
your neighbor.
Right. Christianity is a change, a fundamental change in how you live. And I'm all for real Christians. I just don't see very many of them.
Will?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we just saw happen in Oklahoma. You had a representative who came out and basically said that as a Christian, he could not support efforts to block refugees from coming to Oklahoma. But then, after pressure from his colleagues, from his political colleagues in the Oklahoma House, after pressure from other Republican state representatives and state senators, he caved and voted in favor of a bill that he openly states violates his Christian principles. So that's where we are today. And it's not just the Christian community. The Muslim community, we do the exact same thing in the name of pragmatism or politics or fitting in or any of the hundred reasons that we come up with justifying.
If the Christians knew how similar they were behaving to Muslims, they'd be shocked. Like, they think they're so superior to Muslims, but the infighting, the anger, the hatred, the fear, it's all present in both of the those zones.
We even have names for, like, what you were talking about earlier about, like the Christian whose Christianity only exists on Sunday morning or only exists on Christmas or Easter. We call them Ramadan Muslims because that's the only time you ever see them at the mosque is if there's free food.
Hey, there's been some pretty disturbing news items, Will. While I've got you here, let's get your comment on them. I know you posted that over the last, few weeks, there have been multiple physical attacks on Muslims around the United States.
In Canada, yes, there have been, if you take all the vandalism charges, arson charges, physical assaults on people who they thought were Muslim, who turned out not to be Muslim, I think since the Paris attack, it totals up to around 30 or 35, something like that. And that's including Canada, though. There have been at least 2 incidences where women wearing hijab were attempted to be pushed into oncoming trains in a subway station. That's happened on 2 separate occasions. You've got the Sikh guy who was, nearly beaten to death because they thought he was Muslim.
The poor Sikhs,
the turban, right? Was it the turban?
It's always the turban.
Yeah, and then yesterday in Irving, Texas, you had a group of armed protesters that showed up with, like, the balaclava, the half face mask with the skull face on the bottom half, and their automatic, and their AR-15s. And anti-Muslim signs and stood across the street from a mosque in Texas. So yeah,
it's a show of force, I believe, is what the article said.
Yeah,
were these self-professed Christians? Who were these people?
Well, they didn't really seem to want to show their faces. So.
Yeah, right. Now you've got people who are behaving like ISIS, supposedly protesting people.
Looks like ISIS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God! And then I've got this story with a video of some fool, some angry man yelling in some kind of meeting. It's from addictinginfo.org. It's a location in
Virginia.
Spotsylvania,
Virginia. About a mosque. They're trying to open a mosque in a community there, I guess. And some guy came in there and basically threatened violence. Like I will stop you. I will do whatever it takes to keep you from doing what, like, these are just people that, like, they've lived in the community. Their Muslim community has grown to the point that now they need more than just somebody's basement to be able to use for a religious center. So they're now trying to rent a piece of property so they can have a place where everyone can come together to pray. And you have people, are threatening them because of this.
He yells at the man who is presenting, the Muslim gentleman who is presenting, quote, "Every one of you are terrorists. I don't care what you say. Every Muslim is a terrorist." And then people in the audience applaud, and then the man attempts to respond to this hysteric gentleman, and the racist bully screams over him saying, "Shut your mouth. I don't want to hear your mouth. I'll do everything that I can to keep you from doing what you're doing. It will happen. That will happen." And I think by saying that, he means that he will do everything he can. Dealing with these people must be really frustrating. And obviously, the guy at the front of the room was just trying to have a conversation. But when someone isn't willing to listen, you can't get anywhere. Will, I wish we had more time, but I'm sure we'll talk to you again. Will Coley from Muslims for Liberty, Muslims, the number 4, Liberty. Assalamu alaikum to you, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. You guys have a great night.
Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow online in the meantime at freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM. Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm. The latest episode of Penn Sunday School is next, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.fm. Download it and listen to more at PennSundaySchool.com.
This is Corolla Digital.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School. I'm Matt Donnelly, and this week, Penn went to see a whale of an opera. Yeah, we're talking about Moby Dick, people. Plus, Penn's going to talk a little bit more about his half-assed fast, or his half-fast, or as I call it, starving. Plus, I took a little trip in my car this week, but professionally, as an Uber driver. Here he is, preaching the love, Penn Jillette.
Goodness gracious, yeah. Preaching love, preaching love, preaching love. Yeah, I feel good today. I feel good. I got some sleep.
Nice.
I never get sleep. You know, the last time I was on, I was in the middle of 9 days when I had traveled every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day I was on a plane.
You don't remember you slept on air. Yeah. There was like a half hour where Godot and I just talked.
Just kind of dozing off.
Yeah.
Because this is the problem. Because we had vacation time from the Rio. I have to remember when we have vacation time at the Rio, it means we work really, really hard.
I was going to say, does not mean vacation time for you.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's when we went up to Anchorage and went every place else. And I found out why during those that 2 weeks that we weren't on at the Rio, why we were working so hard.
Yeah.
Glenn worked, the long-suffering Glenn, worked for 10 years, I think, kind of casually, and 5 years really hard, putting together the Penn and Teller on Broadway show. And Glenn had in the back of his mind that we were going to bomb on Broadway.
Really?
Yeah, that we were. He was hopeful. I mean,
sure.
He wouldn't have booked it.
One of the scenarios he was prepped for was bombing.
Was that no one would come see us, and all the reviewers would say, if you see them on the street, spit on them.
Right.
That's what he was expecting. It's a possibility.
Sure.
Because, Glenn once in a while has to consider that he might be right in his assessment of the show. So he was ready for us to bomb. And then he thought we would come back broke and despondent. And he wanted to say, listen, boys, it's okay. You'll work in Alaska. I mean, I guess in his mind, that was the way he was going to...
What do those guys in New York know? We'll tell you what, we're going to get you as far away from New York as possible.
You'll be playing. We can't get you booked in Kuala Lumpur.
Sure.
So we got you booked in Anchorage.
Yeah.
We couldn't get Nome. Nome was booked, but we got Anchorage. And that really was his plan. That we would make money on the road. So that's where we were in. We were in. There's another place we were in, Albuquerque.
Yeah.
We were in only places that Warner Brothers cartoons mentioned.
I was gonna say, Glenn got out the almanac and went by A, or went like Anchorage,
Albuquerque. Yeah.
You guys are playing Austin next week.
Alamo, and that's all I can name. There's one in the capital of Albany.
Albany, Allentown. We're on a fucking roll.
Alabama.
Whoa.
Well, it's not a city.
No.
Might as well be. For all I care, it is. So we were up in. We were staying at the Captain Cook Hotel.
Whoa.
Now, my mother always claimed, and there were newspaper articles to corroborate this.
Corroborate?
Corroborate is the word I meant to say. This from the local paper, that we were direct descendants of Captain Cook. But then I realized, and just recently, a week ago, I realized that the newspaper articles that I took as absolute proof were only using my mom
as the source.
So my mom lying, it was kind of like, I've told this story before, but, she would always try to claim to me that Penn was actually a man's name. And they didn't actually just take Penny and clip off the end and call it Penn.
Right.
So I remember, toward the end of her life, she was, I had been alive 40 years, I suppose. And my mother said, I was just reading an article that said that Penn was actually a Viking name.